Hello, everyone, and welcome. Today is the 22nd of January 2021, and we are here to bring you a European Pylon show, episode 118. Artosis couldn't make it at this time. I don't know what he's doing. Could he be asleep? It's early morning over here in Europe. I just woke up, but I am ready for an amazing Pylon show episode, and I am joined by basically nothing but Protoss players, because we all know once you retire and you get a real job, you also become a Protoss player. So I've got four lovely guests with me. Let's kick things off with the man in the top left, the recent new maiden European Weekly Pro Tour champion, Mana. How are you doing today, matey?
Yeah, doing fine. It's already been a week and a half after the championship. I've already been forgotten, so it's time to work for another one.
You have not been forgotten. Well, speaking of that final, sorry, Kev, I could have gone for a better intro, but we are joined by another amazing Protoss. Bottom left side, Harstem. How are you doing, mate? How's the YouTube?
YouTube is always great. Actually, it's January. Crappy ad revenue, but the rest is fine.
All right, it's amazing to have you here. Obviously, if Trap wins the tournament, there is only one man we could possibly invite to talk about it for days. Top right side, we're looking at Gemini. How's life in Korea, mate?
It's pretty good. It's a solid 1 a.m. Artosis doesn't have the passion, but here I am. If Trap's going to be winning a tournament, I would be talking about him at 1 a.m. anyway, so here I am.
All right, and then okay, I see you, Dario. You know, I look at Mana. Mana pretty much cut off all of his hair. Harstem obviously went for the shave. My hair is way too long. Gemini is hiding his hair. You look way too fresh, mate. What is happening over there, Dario? Are the barbershops open in Canada?
No, but there are advantages of having a super supportive, loving wife who does my hair and also possibly has done a little bit of makeup, making sure I look
nice
clean.
flex.
And I just want to point out to Gemini, you can start talking about being on a show at 1 a.m. when you have 4 kids. And then you can start talking about fashion.
Just put him to sleep early, and then you get the whole night to yourself. No problem.
Right.
Well, guys, it's awesome to have you here. We're going to try to make this a fun show. Obviously, it's an EU-friendly show. That's why we've got mostly Europeans here. But obviously, Gemini had to make an appearance to talk about Trap's victory. And that's basically going to be one of our main 2 talking points today. We're going to talk a lot about the Last Chance tournament that happened last week. And then, of course, we'll talk a little bit about Wardi's big 2021 tournament. First, I want to give a big shout out to all the Patreon supporters out there. Obviously, you guys can already submit questions for the Q&A. We'll handle at the end of the show. All you guys have to do is head over to the Pylon Show's website, and you guys can even find out when the next episode is of the Pylon Show, which I heard after all these years is still a very difficult thing to find out. You can find it there. And other than that, I think we should just get it on, boys. Let's talk a little bit about that tournament with the magnificent name that people have been very upset about for, quite some time. But it wrapped up last week, the Last Chance tournament. We obviously can start with the groups. We can talk about the grand finals, and obviously we will. But let's just kick things off with the group. Obviously, you guys have heard me maybe talk about it already because I was on the show. But I'm very interested to hear what you guys have to say about it. Let's kick things off with Dario. Dario, in Group A, we had TY, Clem, Ragnarok, and Zest. Is there anything that really stood out for you with Group A?
No, I bet a lot on Ragnarok during GSL, but I'm not totally surprised to see TY and Clem in first and second place. I think that's pretty much expected from that group. Of course, Zest could always come out of the group ahead, but no huge surprises there. And I think everybody, most people, would have guessed TY and Clem would make it out of there first and second.
Kev, were you disappointed by Zest's showing?
No. I mean, disappointed. I thought it was annoying that he lost because I would have loved to see him play a little bit more, but I wasn't too surprised, I guess is what I'm trying to say. I think if he beats Clem, there's a decent chance he just gets out in first place, but I don't know. Ragnarok is kind of smart about his strategies usually, and Zest, I think, is just a tad too predictable in general. So, yeah, I wasn't super surprised that he lost there.
Mana, Gemini, anything to add about Group A?
Yeah, I think just predictability of Zest really cost him the series, especially versus Ragnarok. I think TY and Clem were the favorites to win the group, but Ragnarok can surprise from time to time. It was still close for him to not get out of the group. It was still to game 3, right, in the final series of the group. So it was a good showing from Ragnarok nonetheless. I think he was the underdog of the group.
Gemini, nothing to add?
I do want to say though the TVTs, you know, I'm not Terran, but like these Terrans, the TVTs we had this tournament were all crazy, were they not? Like every single one was just like some ridiculous base trade, like absolute down to the wire, ridiculous finish, stuff like that. And I think that the TY Clem one was also pretty ridiculous. One of those. I remember the Bunny series was crazy, but like the TVTs this tournament were super entertaining.
I think Bunny against Inno on Lightshade was an insane game.
Yeah,
right?
that one was that was crazy.
Yeah, we'll talk more about that later. All right, let's talk about Group B then, because I thought this was a very fun group. Beyond winning it is always good for all the Terran fans out there. But I want to talk a little bit about Parting. Mana, did you see Parting against Strap?
Yes, I guess I know what map you want to talk about, I think.
Well, I feel that Parting should have won all 3 maps. Am I crazy when I say that?
I think especially on Romanticide, the game that was the game of the throws. Like it was so great. I think overall the series itself was super crazy, and I think in a more negative way than in the positive, because I think the skill level of these players is much higher than what they showed in the games. From a pro player's perspective, I think the level was quite low. So many throws, so many move commands. Difficult strategy from Parting on Oxide doing the 1 gas 4 gate. It was crazy to see it work. But Parting is very, very smart to come up with this kind of strategy, and to make it work against Trap is no small feat. So congratulations to Parting. But yeah, that series was definitely crazy.
I think
Kev,
it's a little bit. Sorry,
Dario, go ahead.
I think it's a little bit the potting factor, right? Where sometimes in series with potting, both players just look terrible because potting makes the game a little bit weird, and then more mistakes happen than usual, right?
Yeah, but I think usually when you watch Parting, the one thing he really shines in is in his micro. And I think this series, it actually was the opposite. So the situations kind of went how Parting wants them to go. So they go a little bit wild. There's never really any stable moment. And usually those are the games in which he shines. Like if you remember the Cure Parting series from Home Story Cup 20, like that was similar levels of crazy. But then every single time he was there, you know, he was there to control. In this series, it basically felt like the opposite. He would create crazy situations and then completely fill in them himself, which is very unlike Parting. To come back quickly to the Oxide game, I think what Parting showed there was almost I think the biggest counter to Nexus First that I've seen in my life. Like this has never been shown before. This is a strategy you just had prepared in case of Nexus First. He hadn't. I don't know. I just absolutely love it when someone comes up with a new counter, and actually spent quite some time thinking about like, hey, imagine you can bait this strategy out. Like, what would you even do against it? And I'm not sure if I have a good answer because he had a nexus behind it. There's no way you're gonna kill the adepts in any normal way. I don't think it's possible to get the gateways or the pylons down. Like, it just seemed absolutely insane. That strat was so sick.
But Trap didn't go Nexus First, did he? I think it was still 1 gate expand from Trap.
I'm 90% sure it was Nexus First.
We need to check that.
1 gate expand.
I think it was 1 gate. Yeah, if one of you guys can look that up, but I'm pretty sure it was 1 gate expand. So
yeah.
I do think there is a way to prevent the pylons from
definitely.
going up, though.
Yeah, it was 100% 1 gate. Trap never goes Nexus First PvP.
And he even stole the gas of Parting because it looked like he can do it. And it was a world
Then he
because Parting
canceled it.
never wanted. Yeah, never wanted that second gas. Yeah.
He was like, wait a minute. No, I'm not. But that was one of those games where even after I was looking at it, you know, Trap gets bodied in like the most, you know, completely mind-bending way. And I look at that and I'm just like, you know what? I'm not even mad. I'm just impressed, you know, like the old Ron Burgundy gif, whatever. Like, it was, I looked at that, I was like, oh, thanks, Parting. Now I know how I'm getting my free wins versus 1 gate expand on Pillars and Oxide. Great.
I think it was a very innovative strategy. I already saw Parting lose against Zest versus it. Like, Zest pulled probes and attacked Zealot, but I think you can do a semi-wall off as well with the buildings. You don't need to expose your pylons like that. I think there's some potential to this strategy, but yeah, it's something completely fresh that Parting brought to the group. Even though he ended up last in the group, he always brings up very entertaining games.
Oh, that was going to be my next question, if you guys had ever seen it before, because sometimes it happens when you're casting a tournament, you know, you're kind of like, all right, I just hope for some great games, and I figured that I kind of know what's coming, and I'm like, is this a Neil thing? Like, I legit hadn't seen it before. I was like, what the hell is actually happening? But it was pretty amazing by Parting. But even that final game, guys, on Jagannatha, Parting had a great start there. He finds the Stargate immediately. He unpowered the Stargate. Like, those are scenarios where normally if two great players go up against each other, it's just fantastic for the defender, no?
I was so confused about the Void Ray. What was the Void Ray for?
Yeah.
Did he think he was getting like 3-gate Stalker Oracle all in? Like what? Like that's not a build. Like what was the thought process behind getting an Oracle or a Void Ray? I was so confused. That alone threw him everything. It was like such a
Like,
wasted investment.
I can understand it like defensively, but then he cut probes and moved out aggressively with it. Like it made no sense. He just put himself behind because of the decision making he did. He maybe didn't understand the situation that he was in. Maybe he was thinking like he's too far ahead for Trap to try to play a macro game. But yeah, that was definitely one of the weirdest move outs I saw.
All right. Other than that, guys, maybe Rogue going out. Like, I'm going to play devil's advocate here a little bit. A lot of fans are always out there. Rogue is the GOAT. These biased European casters need to shut the F up. They don't talk about how great Rogue is. Were you guys surprised to see Rogue out? Or is this something that you just kind of keep in the back of your mind knowing online tournament, Rogue, you just never know?
I mean, I think if you look at the group like that in general, that those are all 4 players that could make out of it anyway, right? 2 people always have to be eliminated. But I wasn't super inspired by Rogue's play against. I mostly watched Rogue versus Trap, and I think Rogue won the first game, right? And looked like pretty straightforward, and then he just kind of gets wrecked, like in pretty straightforward like CVPs where not much was going on, and I feel like if you look at the results of the entire tournament, we see players in every single group, and almost all of them could make it to the semifinals one way or another, and sometimes things just don't work out in the proper way.
Yeah, but I think overall the Rogue series versus Trap, like he should have won, no problem. I think the situations that he was in versus Trap, I think that should have been very comfortable for the Zerg. Rogue usually ends up in the situation where he's like so far ahead that he just keeps on droning, and then Trap just goes and attacks, and like he's unprepared with the least amount of units that he can have, but more drones than he should have anyway. That's kind of how I feel about Rogue games, even versus Parting. Like it's just crazy to see that Rogue is putting himself in situations where he should win. I think, in my opinion, then he just ends up losing. I even tuned out of the stream because I was sure Rogue is going to clean this up.
I feel like a lot of it, especially with Trap and Rogue and like all the X-Gener guys, is like there's so many levels of mind games that we probably don't even know or can appreciate. Because like even in the beginning of that last game, I'm thinking of the Death Aura game where Trap is doing the Oracle Robo Immortal 6-gate thing, and he was like gonna go kill him, right? Like he uses that to kill Zergs, and he like respected Rogue too much, expecting there to actually be a lot of stuff, but Rogue actually just straight droned through the entire thing, and Trap didn't even realize it, so he walked back. So he could have just killed Rogue there, but then Rogue just dies anyway later, and I was just like, oh, nice, yeah, this is the best Protoss ever, right?
I mean that's because he was going to Hive on like 3.5 base, like 4th base was underway. He's already going to Hive, Hydra. Then the 3rd base of Trap is barely saturated. He's just being super good. I think he's really lacking scouting that Serral does every single game. If Rogue would be scouting more with like speed overlords or I don't know movement of the links, Serral is super good with that, and he knows the like the Protoss timings or he understands how the matchup works. I think if Rogue would have started to do that, he would be much more successful. But yeah, in the online tournaments, sometimes it feels like Rogue doesn't really care that much. I don't know.
I feel like Rogue is just in general a little bit off right now because he also got kicked out of the Super Tournament. He didn't qualify for that.
He lost to Special
the other week. Yeah.
And SOS.
I don't remember who he lost in the winners match. I don't remember who he lost to there. Oh, okay. Oh, SOS, really? Okay, that's even more surprising. So yeah, that's like I feel like Rogue is in one of his little I'm just not doing well stages, and now maybe this is his next fuel to now be like, okay, I'm back for Katowice and I'm gonna win the whole thing out of nowhere again. Like
it's very possible. He's playing in Katowice, right? He's qualified.
Yes.
Oh yeah, he's the number 2.
He was the first one to qualify. He was the first one to
right.
qualify because he won last year, I think it is.
Well,
Well,
it's easy
let's
to
talk.
forget.
Let's talk a little bit about Group C. I think this was one of the most surprising groups in the entire tournament, where we had Bonnie come out on top in a group with Innovation, Raynor, and Hero Marine. Harstem, I know you recently put up a video of a certain European Zerg. Is he washed up or not? What about the other one, Harstem? Is Raynor washed up?
No, he's not washed up. It is too good, man. Sometimes he believes a bit too much in himself, but I think he's great. I think, yeah, sometimes I feel like he underestimates certain players a little bit, and then perhaps the preparation isn't as tight, but I know no one that is as tight as he is. Like, if he's on top, he's absolutely insane. If he plays a lot, he's on top, he prepares well. For me, he's the scariest player, just period. There's no one scarier than him.
We're going to give Bunny all the props, and we're going to talk about his great game soon. But I had the approach, and I don't know if you guys would agree with this or not, that this could very well, to some degree, maybe be a good thing for Raynor, as this could sort of be the ultimate wake-up call that, like, hey, buddy, like, Katowice is in a month. You know, I know you've been playing a little bit, he's been trying, but he hasn't been 100% fully dedicated and focused, I feel like. I think this could actually help him to fuel that fire and get ultimately super prepared for Katowice. Do you guys think there is some truth to that, or you guys think that doesn't matter?
And in general, losing can always be a good thing in StarCraft, right? If you keep winning, and then you encounter like a problem in the tournament you're actually playing, it's probably worse than if you've been losing before and trying to change things about your style. And Raynor is definitely somebody that is very, I think, emotion and passion driven, as you're saying. Like if he gets angry, he's probably gonna do a little bit better. As you said, like a little bit of overconfidence, especially on I remember Lightshade, Raynor was sometimes just attacking into Bunny for like pretty much no reason, and that's where I still see a little bit the difference between Serral and Raynor, where Serral knows if he's behind, he just needs to play it super safe, and like over the next 20 minutes somehow it needs to make a comeback with very efficient trades. While Raynor is he builds so much momentum and is so used to like just being able to roll over his opponent and keep attacking, right? So if he finds himself in these non-ideal situations, I think he still has to learn a little bit.
All right, who wants to talk about Bunny and who possibly saw him winning this entire group?
I think nobody predicted that, but I think he played well. Like, I think it didn't look like he got lucky. Like, he outplayed the opponents, I think. And it's crazy to think because he was definitely the underdog. I think him versus Hero Marine would be maybe an even match. I think if there would be any kind of prediction, I don't know if somebody would even consider Bunny the favorite there overall. But yeah, I think the game versus innovation that he showed and versus Raynor, just straight up good game. Like, he deserved to win that group.
I totally
I was
agree.
just super impressed by that TVT. The TVT was so fun. Oh my god, the Lightshade game was absolutely insane. It would have been so cool, especially as well, if he actually did the elevator out when he was stuck in his main and he was getting sieged up with literally like pure tank liberator. And if he's just evacuating everything, he's just like, it's like, get out. It's like he's sprinting across the map out of there. It would have been so cool. I think he could have also still done it a couple times after that, after he kind of just like suicided for no reason. But it was just, I don't know. I'm usually not one that overly enjoys TVT or other matchups as much, but my goodness, that was fun. If you did not watch that series, seriously, it's so good.
I do have maybe a question for all of you guys. Like, what do you guys think it is with Gabe and these sort of bigger events, right? Because we know that Gabe is obviously very good, and he's always performing fantastic in the weeklies. I know it's been a couple weeks now since he won one, but he has still won 23 or something outrageous like that. And for some reason, it doesn't really seem to click in the bigger events for him. Do you guys notice a pattern? Do you guys have any idea why that could possibly be? Like, I'm kind of curious about your opinions.
I feel like he does maybe overplay ladder a little bit. I mean, obviously he's like a huge streamer, right? So he spends a lot of time on that. So for Hero Marine, he always feels to me like he's on this like extremely high level, very stable on that level. But maybe because of his practice habits and maybe also a little bit because of his attitude, he just doesn't quite reach like that highest S tier level where if he faces against people like, we see in this tournament, he doesn't quite match up because there's like this last step he needs to take to actually be one of the very, very best players in the world. Like he'll crush everybody below his skill level, but has struggles playing against people that are a little bit better than him and reaching for that final step.
I think his style is very well suited for beating worse players as well, where he plays relatively safe, he plays solid most of the time. Even his gambles tend to be well thought over. he isn't very wild. Where most of the time when you want to be taking out players better than you got to be a little bit crazy, you know. And maybe he's lacking that. It's very difficult to speak about why someone else isn't performing well, especially if it's on such a stage that. Like maybe he gets nervous, but I doubt it. Like there can be so many factors that I always find it very, very hard to say. I think it's X or Y, because I do believe that he tends to prepare for these type of events at least a little bit, or at least more than just the regular events. And like you said, his actual level is very high, where he's constantly has like 5 accounts above 7K. His, like you said, the EPT weeklies is insane in. So I don't actually know what the final, like what it is, but it is kind of odd to see someone that is this good never really perform up to his standards once Koreans are involved, because he does okay in the bigger European events, right? It's just really once Koreans get involved, he kind of tends to wet the bed for whatever reason, and it's weird to see, because I think Showtime is similar level to him, where both of them are very solid. But Showtime does tend to show up, or at least shows up every now and then in these bigger events, you know, makes a big run. So I don't know.
It's not as extreme, but it reminds me a little bit of Happy. You know, back in the days where he would just be really good in ladder and be like this really strong players, but in tournaments people can just abuse him. Like it's not nearly as extreme.
Yeah,
like,
I
Happy
mean,
was, like,
Gabe does a little better in tournaments than Happy did, I think, and like Gabe
he's
is a
also
bit more
better on ladder
flexible.
as well.
Yeah,
But
no, but I think you guys hit a couple very good points, and I especially like what Kev said, where it's a very safe, very solid style, which is incredibly good to just beat up on worse players, you know, because his scouting, he's out on the map, he kind of knows what he's going up against. Nothing really catches him off guard, but it's not really maybe the playstyle to like catch Raynor off guard all of a sudden, you know, or catch Inno off guard. It's like, no, Gabe makes it really hard on himself. Like if Gabe wins, he wins just because he played a monstrous match and he really like just kind of duke it out to the wire and eventually came out on top. He rarely gets a cheeky win for himself, and maybe that would make his life a bit easier in some of these tournaments.
And like
I
he
feel
kind of
like-
looks down on that almost a little bit as well, right? When people win in that way, like at least if you believe what he's saying when
A
he's
little bit.
streaming.
A 25-minute rant, man. But this is a ridiculous position for the Stargate.
All right, guys. Obviously, we had Inno Advance as well. We'll talk more about Inno in the playoffs. Next up, we've got Group D, also a very surprising winner. I have to admit, by the way, guys, I was pretty salty, you know, because I really wanted to win the War Chess Team League. I had Bunny on my team, shows up, wins his group. I had Solar on my team, he shows up and he wins his group. And in the entire War Chess Team League that Wardi was running, my boys basically barely won a map, and it was just Raynor winning it all. And I was like, damn it, now, guys? Now you show up? Why not back then?
They are harvesting the fruits of your coaching, Rotti. Come on.
I don't think I really have much to do with any of that. But yeah, really good to see, of course, for Solar. He's a very likable guy. And I do want to talk about Solar, because why is Solar always so good in group stages? And why can't he go all the way, guys?
My opinion is that he shows up in the group stages because he has good strategies prepared, but he is kind of repetitive with the strategies as well. And maybe in the playoffs, he doesn't have anything else to show. Maybe that would be my guess. Like in the groups, he played very well. I think he got a little bit lucky maybe versus Serral, but overall, Solar is definitely a great player. But yeah, in the play, I think it's just the preparation of the strategies. Maybe he's just too repetitive. Maybe he's not predictable because he has a lot of like cheesy all-ins, but sometimes people are just more prepared for this because he brings out a certain style to the tournament, and he like the future opponents have already maybe seen it.
It's also maybe possibly just the longer series as well kind of ends up hurting him in that regard too, where if he does similar things a lot, like he does have a lot of cheeky all-ins and types of aggressive plays. Like, you know, he is a roach boy, especially in PvZ and stuff. So maybe his stuff can kind of run out a little bit. Like it is weird too, because like I watch a lot of Solar games because I do like him as a Zerg player as well, and you know him and Trap and all these other players in Korea, they play against each other all the time. But I feel like he does have very similar stuff, and he plays really well. Like you watch his games, and you're like, this player's really good. He's playing really well, and then he just suddenly dies for seemingly no reason, and you're like, oh, okay, the other player just played better, and that's all I can really pinpoint. Like I feel like he's just playing the better players, and like the better player will win sometimes, and then sometimes the he'll win. Like I think he's like just really close in skill to almost all the other Korean players. It's just that it seems to not swing his favor for whatever reason when it's the longer series.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a good point because he does definitely shine. I think maybe a bit more in best of threes than it is in best of five. My heart kind of does go out for him though, because I feel like almost every tournament it's the same. He can look so good in the group stage. You kind of get your hopes up a little bit because I do like Sola. He's a very likable guy, and we've seen him at Homestead Cups. He does it all, and he's such a cool dude to be around. Never really goes all the way though, and it's gotta be pretty heartbreaking for him too, because like at one point it's like, when is it finally my time to shine, right? You always look good, people start hyping you up. I think of Ace's ROG where he looked fantastic early on. He barely lost the map to the semifinals, then he just got bopped. But this has happened so many times, and it is obviously sad. I do hope that he can maybe get it together once in 2021 and go all the way. Other than that, the Protoss boys in this group, anything you guys want to talk about, stats in Showtime?
Well, I think Serral just showed up real good for these EVPs. Like the games that he played versus Showtime and the games he played versus Stats, I don't think they were close at all. Like they were just the good old Serral owning Protosses, I think. And I don't think Stats or Showtime played bad or anything. Like it's just Serral just owned them, And it was shown in the playoffs as well. Like he started. Well, we'll talk about the playoffs later, but I think Serral just came in prepared well for the ZVPs, at least in this group stage.
Anything you guys want to add?
Yes, I agree.
I particularly like the Oxide game in Stats versus Showtime. I was thinking about that. That was a very good game. It's actually one of the higher level PvPs we've seen recently. Just both play. Showtime is insanely good in like these mid to late game scenarios. I actually think whenever I play Showtime in mid to late game, it feels close to impossible. And once he gets Tempest, it's so difficult for me to win. And in I don't know, he just feels super solid. So seeing him kind of get outplayed by Stats was like, wow, holy crap, this guy's even better at that. But the game just went back and forth and constant action. I thought this truly was like, I don't know, it was one of the highest level PvPs I've seen in quite some time, even though obviously Showtime's probably going to say, well, I made a lot of mistakes, otherwise I would have won, and he's probably not going to be happy with it. But I thought that game in particular was very, very good. And yeah, I'd suggest people watch that particular game.
There were also multiple big disruptor shots, like swinging from either Stats or Showtime. So it's always tricky to win those kind of games. Like it feels like when there's one or two good disruptor shots, it feels it's over. But there were for both of the sides. I absolutely agree that the game on Oxide was super high level, and yeah, I cannot agree more. Like when you play versus Showtime, especially in the late game, he feels just invincible. And to see Stats, just it felt like he was the better player in the late game in PvP. It was crazy to see, and I don't really know what was the X factor there for him. It just felt like he was just better,
Yeah, slightly faster or something, or being better in these engagements. Yeah, it was crazy to watch how just the maneuvering around the map. And yeah, like you said, the funny thing is that it swings a couple of times. Usually, because what happens with me is I play against Showtime, he gets one good disruptor shot, I might as well leave. Like I ain't getting back into that game. But here, Stats was like, he was on the back foot for quite some time. And then afterwards, Showtime is on the back foot. And you think, all right, so now Stats is going to walk over him. But then Showtime stays on for a very, very long time and makes it surprisingly close. So yeah, that entire game was crazy to watch. Super, super good. High level stuff.
I think I like especially how it highlighted some kind of differences stylistically between Korea and Europe, where Stats in Korea is generally, especially in PvP, super aggressive, like always trying to be in your face, like across the map and stuff like that. And then, European Protosses usually you guys are considered the more like defensive, absorb everything. We kind of, take it to the late game. Showtime is like the epitome of that with, he's literally called the wall. So like it was really cool for that way too, because it really did kind of highlight that super clearly. And like you were saying, how like Stats is just seems like he's like kind of faster, like around the map a little bit more. It made it super entertaining just as a stylistic clash too.
But that game in particular, I just checked to be sure, but Showtime was the one that went into disruptors later. No, he opened with four gas, Charge Lot Archon, and took a faster forward. I'm pretty sure he did. From what I'm seeing here, yeah, stats actually had faster disruptors, later fort base. That's why he's behind economically. I feel like that stats actually was playing an older style that was very popular a month and a half ago, maybe 2 months ago, maybe just a month ago, and Showtime was playing what he considers to be better. I think what most people consider better is where you either go 3 or 4 gas, and then you take map control with that. And if someone takes 5 or 6 gas, this guy is getting way less minerals than you. You can't really move out if you go Stalker Disruptor, right? So unless you play Charged Archon yourself, which is kind of risky because if the other guy sees it, he can still get Disruptors and have more Zealots. So I think I actually thought that Showtime was maybe not necessarily way more aggressive, but he was the one that if anyone was going to be aggressive in the first 10 minutes of the game, it would have been Showtime. And I think he actually attacked as well. Like
Yeah,
the
the
big
defense
attack
on the
into the
third
third base. Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
exactly.
I think he should have won there. I'm pretty sure if that goes slightly better.
But Stan's defense was pretty damn good as well. The positioning
Yeah,
of
it
the
was
Stalkers
crazy.
behind
Yeah,
the middle.
Yeah.
just that entire game was, like I said, it was super, super insane. Like
Best game of the tournament.
Actually, like unironically, for me, it was the most fun. I'm not sure if it's the best, but I had so much fun watching this, and just very, very, very good, really.
I love how you guys were quiet, and then I was like, Protoss, anyone? And it's like, all right. 7 minutes later, we have wrapped up Group D. Let's talk about...
When we talk about a single game.
Yeah, no, amazing. Love it, guys. Love the passion. Let's talk about the playoffs. We had 4 amazing quarterfinals. InnoTY, Beyond Serral, Solar Trap, Clem Bunny. You know what? I'll kick things off with Dario. Dario, did you catch any of the quarterfinals, and which one stood out for you the most?
Well, I definitely watched Solar Trap and Beyond Serral. I had a few glimpses of Innovation in TY, and I just kind of want to talk a little bit about the story of Solar and Trap, just to
Go
kick
ahead.
this off a little bit. What I find always fascinating is when somebody wins a tournament, but they were so many times so close to elimination, right? Like even if you look back to the group stage, Trap obviously kind of should have lost against Spotting, loses the first game. Then the second game could easily have been a loss as well, and then I think Trap also loses the first game against Rogue, right? So even from there, everything could have been completely different just with the tiniest change. And then I think nobody would have expected Solar leading 2-0 against Trap as well from the the quarterfinals. So it's kind of crazy that Trap was basically just this thin strand from being eliminated against Solar in the quarterfinals as well.
Yeah, I mean, we could talk about the Solar Trap series for sure. Gemini, like when your boy's down 0-2 in the first 2 games, like, yeah, sure, Solar is aggressive. Solar makes a few more units, but it looked pretty convincing what Solar was doing. And then all of a sudden, everything just clicks for Trap and he turns it around. What do you think that is?
This is something that I kind of noticed more recently with Trap, where he doesn't just kind of fall apart. A lot of times he used to have a couple of times where games don't go his way. He looks like he's just kind of playing bad, and then he just, he gets washed out, and then he loses the series or whatever. Like, it feels like he's got a little bit more mental fortitude now, kind of like he just kind of maybe brushes stuff off a little bit easier, just kind of can get into the game state better when he's in a bad spot, and then just kind of recover from that. I think he's become much better at that recently. He even told me he was reading a book about mentality, like how to calm your mind and stuff like that during games, or not specifically during games, but in general.
During a PVZ on Submarine. Who wrote that book, Gemini? I want to read that.
But it seems like that's honestly it's pretty. I just noticed it a lot. I feel like I'm noticing it a lot recently where he is doing this. And now it's making me feel like whenever he's down 0-2 or something like that, I'm just like, oh sweet, he's down 0-2. He's got him right where he wants him. Let's go. The series is over. It's a 3-2 for Trap. Like, I don't know. It's I get worried obviously seeing him not play well at first, but then afterwards, maybe I shouldn't be getting worried anymore. I don't know.
Yeah,
I love it.
Serral is nothing but gimmick only beats Terran players.
This is so funny.
Nice.
Nice.
The
Nothing
best
but
thing is that it
gimmicks.
goes for another like 30 seconds. Like he just keeps laughing.
I know, that was beautiful. I mean, we can talk a little bit about that highly anticipated match, of course, beyond Serral. I feel like ever since Aces ROG, that's kind of like the fan favorite match. Everybody gets pumped over. The last two affairs, though, have been a bit one-sided in favor of our Finnish Phenom. Did the series live up to the expectations, guys? Mana, did you watch it? I thought Game 1 and Game 3 looked all right.
I was actually watching. Yeah, I like whenever Serral plays, I like to watch it. It's not because of ZVT or ZVZ. Doesn't matter for me. It's just as long as Serral is playing, I know he's going to be a good game. And I think it just showed the type of a player Serral is in those games, because a lot of the times he would be ahead or the game was kind of like close. He would just slowly, methodically try to pull Bjorn out, and the game would drag out for the next 10-15 minutes. But he was like stay ahead, and I love the way that Serral plays these kind of games, and I think the series were quite entertaining. Maybe 3-0 is quite harsh for Bjorn, but the games were good. Serral was just better, the player, the better player in that series.
All right.
It's insane how hard it is to kill good Korean Terrans. Like Beyond just didn't die. TY as well just like didn't die. It was like insane. I was like watching the games and I was like exhausted watching them. I felt like he was dead for 10-15 minutes and he's still alive somehow. I was like, okay, alrighty then. I am so bad at this game. I will never ever see what this is like.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like, if you would just have an overlay over the resources from Serral, you would think the game is actually going quite okay for Bjorn. But somehow then at some point, Serral just always ended up with this insane bank. But Bjorn was just defending and defending. It kind of felt like he lost like a long time ago, just based on how much more resources Serral has. But I feel like the issue Bjorn had in his series against Serral is that he just couldn't find that edge in the early game anywhere, and then Serral would just play such a almost like the most typical Serral series in TVC, right? The Serral we know that just doesn't die and just eventually becomes unstoppable, and it always felt like this very long death animation for Bjorn, where like, yes, he can hold on, but I don't see anything that could happen how he could come back in the last like 15 minutes of the match.
And what about Clem Bunny, guys? Because I feel Bunny has a bit is something that's a bit similar to Solar's story in general, where obviously he too can look great in the earlier stages of a tournament. But when is the last time that Bunny had a truly memorable tournament run? Like, I know he made playoffs in GSL Codas one time in 2020, but never really goes all the way. Starts off great, 1-0 lead, and I think game 2 he was in a really good spot. If I recall the games correctly, is that the game where he lost one of his orbitals and then eventually it kind of stabilized out and he ended up losing? I guess you guys all predicted Clem to win that one, but what do you guys make of it? Why can't Bonnie turn it around, and why can't Bonnie make a semifinals or a final? Gemini, maybe?
That's a great question. Harstem.
Oh, you want to throw the ball to me? That's fine. Well, Bunny, he tends to be kind of over-aggressive. And I don't want to say gimmicky, but a little bit gimmicky. Where he tends to go a lot for plays that if everyone is playing very on point, most likely is not going to work. And this is like this is just kind of speaking from my experience, because I'm not too familiar with what is proper and solid in TVT, but very often like the drops that he takes and the unit movement, especially in those things, he tends to be leaning more towards the risky side. And the problem is, if you get higher in tournaments, you just get these guys that are extremely good at playing tournaments. So they're gonna be able to reach way higher levels of focus and way more in the zone than people that aren't as used to playing at such a high level. And they're just better, like just more tight. They have better map control, where all of these little tricks, these things, they tend to kind of fall flat. And this is kind of a nice overgeneralization, but this is what I kind of feel like when I watch Bunny play, is that he's very, very good, but sometimes a little bit too reliant on little tricks that will get him through an opponent that might not be the absolute best. But once he starts facing the absolute best, these guys are like, that's a cute trick. What about this? And toosh, he's on the floor. Like, that's kind of what happens in my eyes.
What I have noticed a couple times is that Bonnie doesn't really try to win gimmicky as in like, oh, he's cheesing every game where it's like proxy barracks is, but he is indeed so hyper aggressive that he wins a lot of games just because he's faster and better than people. And indeed, if he is on point and someone is just like 90% instead of 100%, well, Bonnie will hit you like a tornado and he's going to be everywhere at once and you're always out of position. But eventually it seems that people just get ready for it and then Clem becomes that brick wall and it feels that Bonnie just keeps running into Clem. And it does make me a bit sad because I really love Bonnie. I think he's a great dude. And I'd love to see him just once at least make it to a final. You know, he doesn't even need to win the entire tournament, but I think that'd be so cool for his career. Let's talk about the semifinals then. TY, Serral, high hopes, but also a relatively one-sided scoreline. I do think it was pretty good games. Dario, were you satisfied as a StarCraft fan watching it? I think you're muted, Dario.
You're muted, Dario.
Sorry about that. Watching Serral as a Zerg player and, winning 3-0 is like, how can you not be satisfied to some extent? But I feel like the series felt a little bit similar to what happened to Beyond, where once again we just see Serral with this infinite bank and just this unstoppable force, and somehow TY also ends up just in the situation where he can even put on some pressure, but there's nothing more ever than Marine, Marauder, some tanks, and Serral just keeps growing and growing and growing, and it just almost feels hopeless. I'm not quite sure. I do feel like some maps are just ridiculously difficult for Terran against Zerg, like Pillars and, well, obviously Jagannath was vetoed, I think, but then also Lightshade. Like, so starting the series basically with Pillars and Lightshade, I think is really difficult as a Terran player, and I'm a little bit actually confused that those were the first two maps. Like, I assume that Pillars was picked by Serral, but then TY picking Lightshade as the second map, I feel is a little bit of a strange choice. But yeah, Serral is just, what can you say? Serral is just so good.
I think it's the other way around, probably. I think TY probably picked Pillars and then Serral picking Lightshade and then TY Death Aura.
Yeah,
that would make.
You're probably right.
But yeah, no, I think that's a pretty good way to put it. Yona just takes control of the map, becomes very rich, and like Gemini said before, it's hard to kill him, which makes for always fun games. But obviously, if it's then like 2-0, I was like, well, game 3 looks fun, but I think I know where it's going, guys. I don't think Yona is going to get stopped here. So we can talk a little bit about the other semifinals. And that was an interesting one because Trap obviously did lose against Beyond in the group stage. But we seemed to fix whatever was lacking in that PvT, and he managed to take out Clem 3-1. Gemini, obviously, I'll start with you. How did you feel going into that series for your boy Trap, and were you happy with the games and how they played out?
Yeah, I think going into it, especially versus Clem in a long series, other than a best of 3, I will always feel pretty confident in Trap's ability to do that. Clem has been able to take him out like once or twice or so in a couple best of 3s with just general, good play or something that Trap is generally good at fixing in a longer series. So whenever I see a big PvT series versus Clem with Trap, or in general his longer PvT series versus other players as well, I think he's really good because he has such a wide variety of things that he can do in PvT. There's a couple Protoss players that might only do like a specific build, like the build to play in PvT right now, and maybe not put too much variation on it. But Trap does a lot of different kind of stuff, and that's why I think he's super good in general, is that he can do very minute changes in his builds that will completely swing a game because it looks like something else completely. Like, he'll go 3 Adept into Proxy Dark Shrine, like walk the DTs into your base. He'll do, double Adept Stalker into literally anything. He'll do, just whatever variation. He'll do Stargate Phoenix into Colossus. He'll do Stargate Phoenix into Charge Lot Archon. Require both totally different types of responses as well. So like in general, his PvT and longer series seems really solid for that reason alone. And that's basically what happened in this Clem series. Like, he just threw out a bunch of different stuff. It was generally solid throughout, threw some mind games out there, and he just kind of, used his Korean dominance to stomp out a 3-1.
Yeah, and it looks like Clem couldn't really understand what's going on, right, against Trap, because he really went for so many different approaches to the matchups and for the different maps. I think the most difficult map for Clem to win would be the Lightshade one, I think, when he moved out with like the Marines and the Cyclones, and then the Adept showed up in the natural. Like if Clem just sits down and takes the 3 bases, he's perfectly fine, because Trap was not investing into the economy at all. He was really, really hoping for Clem to move out, because Clem is aggressive and he knows what to do against the standard stuff, but Trap is smart and he knows that Clem will be trying to move out against the Stargate, but he does that so often. Trap is really prepared for the style that Clem usually brings for TVP, and that was really impressive to see. Trap's like methodical way to approach the matchup against an opponent that I think Clem is really overall good in TVP, but Trap just figured him out in this series. That's how it felt, in my opinion.
Harstem, as a man who goes up against Clem every now and then yourself, were you trap-spired by his performance?
Yeah, it was nice strats. I mean, like Gemini said.
There's infinite
Gemini.
ways. There's infinite ways. Take your
Gemini.
pick.
Yeah. So what Gemini said was that many different builds, but I do think that some things went a little bit fortunate. The problem is that whenever I watch Trap, I always think, well, this is a little bit fortunate. So I kind of decided that I'm not supposed to call it fortunate anymore. If someone is consistently lucky, it's probably just good. But it's very difficult for me to spot exactly what Trap, for example, does so much different. If you think of the Oxide game, his response there is good because it was the exact same build that Zest did in the group, actually, against Clem. The exact same build order matchup, right? It's 3-gate DT drop against I think it's a 3 Rex, what Clem did.
Yeah.
That was Death Aura, wasn't it?
No, it's Oxide.
No, Oxide.
Oxide
Okay.
with Trap. Trap versus Clem.
Something else. Go ahead.
And Trap sees the move out. So he just full walls and just it's a free win, right? At that point. And it just feels like, well, that wasn't really a game, you know? It never felt like that was fair in a way. It's like, well, what am I supposed to learn here? Like, I spot the 3 Rex move out and then I full wall. Like, this is crap. Then you watch, like, the Lightshade game and you see Clem kill, like, 8 workers, basically be up in workers against the Protoss. And then all he needs to do is defend the follow-up pressure. And he moves out with 2 Cyclones and Marines. And then 5 Adepts kill everything and he loses everything aggressively. Like, well, what the heck is this garbage? So I'm just watching these games and I'm like, man, Trap got lucky twice. And then I catch myself. I'm like, no, he didn't get lucky twice. Like, I know if this was me, I would have died both games here as well. So I actually have no clue where the difference is, what Trap does, but he just baits out these things, probably because of his diversity in styles and strategies that you're never sure if he's going like all in on eco or if he's doing something aggressive. Like, it's absolutely crazy to me, the variety that he has and the knowledge in every build order matchup. Like, it's really, really difficult to have good early game in PvT with so many different openers. Like, and he can play it all. Like, he literally can play any opener. The only thing he doesn't really play is Colossus drop. Or at least I haven't seen him play that very much. That's the only truly viable opener that he doesn't really play. Anything else goes with him. And the knowledge that he has in all of these build order matchups it's not something to take lightly. Like, it's extremely difficult. There's so many things that can be thrown at you. His map vision is almost always good. His unit movement is almost always perfect. And he just seems to know what to do when with very little information. And his early game unit control is the best. Like, there's no doubt in my mind about it. His Adept Stalker micro, the way he controls it is freaking crazy, man.
That is a great meme. I was like, first, like, why are we taking a look at a Homestory Cup picture? I was like, that's an old picture of Harstem. And then, oh, it's Bernie sneaking in there. Now, Kev, I agree with the things that you said, but I have to say I had the feeling that, about a lot of games in this tournament where I was like, I was like, kind of cool, maybe a bit lucky, and it is what it is. And that kind of brings us into the grand finals. If you would normally tell me that we're going to have a 7-map grand finals where Serral's up, but he somehow loses, and the guy who's never beat Serral before wins, I would say, wow, that sounds amazing. I personally didn't think it was the greatest finals, and that's maybe a bit of an understatement, but the scoreline was exciting, and I guess there was a little bit of excitement in the Hydra Link Bane games, but yeah, it personally did not leave me super satisfied. I'm sure that you were very satisfied, Gemini. What do you make of the grand finals? Were you happy? Obviously, you were with the result, but how were you with the games as a StarCraft fan?
Yeah, like the first few games really did feel like I was just like, oh, Trap's having his one of his little I just don't play well today vibes. Like he was doing some pretty bad stuff, like some pretty dumb decisions, some just general sloppiness. The Jagannatha game where he was trying, I think that was the game where he like is just trying to take a third base after a really bad adept attack, and then he just can't take it, and then he just all ins anyway, like somewhat afterwards. Like I don't know, it like the first couple games really did just seem really sloppy and just not really great. But then he did that thing where he apparently can do now, where he just turns a switch and all of a sudden he's really good again. So it's a massive roller coaster to watch, of course, but yeah, I mean, I was pretty satisfied overall. Obviously, I'll be satisfied with a trap win. I'll take that, no problem. I'll cash that. But the later games did feel much better. It feels like he really did just kind of click, and just like things just started to really roll his way. He like kind of can do. Remember, he said in the interview too. He was like, after the Light Shade game, he realized he can't. He's like, I'm not controlling oracles on ping anymore. I'm just going to open Void Ray every game. And then like it's like one of those types of things, those little shifts where you're just like, okay, I guess I do just need to make Void Rays. Let me just simplify it, and then I'll just kind of go from there. And that's what it seemed like he really did. He just seemed like he just kind of tried to simplify stuff and just, react and defend.
Mana, I want to ask you about Romanticide. I'm sure you remember the game. What was happening on Romanticide? Because I've watched the game and I'm like, what the hell are we watching? What's going on? Serral has like all the tech, no units, and then it kind of ends against 5 Void Rays and 3 Archons. What do you make of it?
Yeah, that was very unorthodox game of Serral. I think, like as I said before, Serral is really good at scouting and seeing what the Protoss is doing. I can't remember if he scouted that much that game. I remember the game finishing just rapidly, attacking the 4th, and I think it was still kind of even on supply. He was doing like a 8-link drop, I think, to the main of Trap, and then in the meantime, Trap was just attacking the 4th with not really a timing to kill Serral, but just to test the grounds. But he had literally no units, only queens, like 9 queens, something like that.
Yeah.
And the Chardos and Archons just they just go forward. I don't think the game would have ended there. Maybe he would have defended overall, but it was just a very strange game that usually doesn't happen versus Serral. And I was very sad because I really liked the build up for this game. The Void Ray opening, Serral scouting it, and understanding what's going on, the good creep threat, 4 bases, a lot of queens, hive on the way, and then suddenly GG. And it's like that game had a lot of potential overall. I was very dissatisfied with how it ended.
Yeah, I was in the same spot. And it was just a bit weird because that's just not the way that normally Serral games end. And I also feel that was kind of Trap's key into the grand finals. Like, well, all right, I kind of got bopped first by Nidus or then the German taxi or in the other way around. Now all of a sudden I've got a point on the board. Let's take it from here. Kev, what did you make of the grand finals?
Yeah, interesting. I think Serral was a bit underprepared for the Void Ray stuff. In general, I don't. The Romanticide game was a mystery to me. Okay. I think he wanted to play a Roach Corruptor with 5 Mutas, but I have absolutely no clue what that was. Like, even as he's being attacked, he has like 9 queens and then starts 10 Corruptors rather than 10 extra Roaches. So, I mean, the first few games, I feel like the moment Trap plays against most early pools, his responses tend to be rather subpar, 16 pool, 12 pool. Even on Submarine, where Serral got in a terrible spot because he lost his links, the response of Trap seems questionable at best, and quite frankly a bit awful. He builds 2 Zealots, full walls with 2 gates, and then pulls 4 workers. And because his SimCity is quite bad, he's still almost in danger of losing a building. Against the 16 pool, he gets Zealot, I think, after Nexus, but pre-core or something like that. It's like just really non-optimal responses to early pools, which make very little sense. So I was a bit disappointed there, honestly. Then and then he started just playing Void Rays, and Serral seemed a little bit clueless in what he wanted to do exactly. Kind of going middle of the road.
This
Like,
was sick, though. Like, at first I was like, oh no, Trap's in trouble. And then all of a sudden I'm like, oh my god, he lost like 1 probe and killed 10 Zerglings. Or he lost 1 Zealot, right? He lost no probes. Yeah, exactly. This was a sick spot. I actually did think that he could have maybe capitalized on this spot a bit better. But in the end, when he did finally wanted to end the game, yeah, there wasn't even much of a fight. Maybe if Serral would have stopped at like 55 drones instead of 66, it could have been a little bit closer. Yeah, and then we went back into Hydroling Bane, Game 7, Oxide. I'm wondering, do you guys think that was a different way for Serral to attack? You know, final game, everything's on the line, we're playing for all the marbles. Like, do you guys think it would have been okay to maybe open up the rocks and try to put some pressure in the natural? Or is that too dangerous because then High Templars come in from every angle and storm you? What do you think, Mana?
No, absolutely. I think you open up the rocks and it forces the Protoss to fight in a position that there are no shield batteries with supercharge, right? You need to be prepared in advance for this. And especially, like, I think Serral just kind of forgot how to use the Zerg Banelings to the full potential. Like, there were not a lot of run-bys to the mineral lines to cause a distraction and then, attack the fourth at the same time. Or maybe just distract the economy of Trap. I don't know. It felt that the attacks of Serral were like one-minded, where he just wanted to attack and finish the game, do as much damage as possible. Where there was more potential, I think, for the attacks from his side.
Dario, did you watch Game 7?
Yeah, I agree with that. I thought it was both strange, actually also on Death Aura as well, to just go for this Hydra Ling Bane Link style and then basically just bashing his head in like straight up against like big fights. Obviously in Death Aura it's even harder than an Oxide to really make something happen. And then attacking into all the cannons. Yeah. Like I think that could have been a play where he does break open the rocks and then just kind of positions himself in between the bases, and of course then flanks are a little bit scary, but like Serral usually is quite good at maneuvering in and out. I think that could have been something possible, and especially with these Void Ray heavy armies, with like nothing much more than Void Rays and Templars, it's so difficult for Protoss to observe just zones with like a few Lings and Banelings, right? Like you can't actually move that easily close to the Hydras because you need to lead with the Templars, and then it's easy to lose all your Templars against just a few Lings and Banelings. But instead, it was just this pretty straight up fight where Trap could land all his storms. There would be buildings to protect these kind of class cannon units. So it felt a little bit like he was almost an autopilot, where it looks like this kind of like this ladder game that I would lose. Obviously Serral played way better than I would in any situation, but where it just feels like Zerg just keeps attacking straight up into Protoss, and then Protoss just seems like the strongest they could be, right?
It felt that all the fights took place exactly where Trap would have loved them to take place.
Absolutely,
and that made me a bit sad for Serral. Like, he started working on the rocks, but at this point the game was already over. He could have done this before. But yeah, if you run into stasis traps, into batteries with overcharge. I mean, Void Rays are not good against Hydras, but if they're backed up by cannons, they get some support storms, and there's batteries in the back, then all of a sudden you're like, all right, this is not that bad. So, you know, I was happy for Trap to win the tournament, guys, but overall, if you look at this entire tournament, I would lie if I say that this was like the sickest tournament I've seen in a while. You know, it was cool. Obviously, we always love a tournament. $57,000 on the line. EPT points didn't really matter that much anymore. They play for seeding, but we don't even know what that means. I thought it was fun. Obviously, every StarCraft tournament is fun. But this is not the kind of tournament that I would be like, if you missed it, go back and watch every single day. Like, if I have to give it a rating, I'd say a 7 out of 10. Would you agree with that, Mana?
7.5. Let's go 7.5. I think the games in the group stage were very exciting overall. The TVTs, as Gemini said, the 3-0s of Serral, the games were good as well. But exactly like you said, they were not the, oh my god, you have to see them. They were just, good high-level StarCraft games. And maybe because we had so many of them, that tournament felt nothing special,
I don't know. Kev, if you would have to give the tournament a number or a rating, how would you rate it?
I don't know, like a 6 maybe?
Yeah, okay. So you were not also like on the edge of your seat every single day?
No, but I enjoyed the games. I mean, 6 is good. Even a 4 for StarCraft is still gonna be a lot better than most other games. So
no, of course not, guy. I'm not saying like it was awful, but
I mean,
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I'm rating it I'm rating it compared to other premier tournaments, right? Like
Mhm.
it's not like, you know, it's on a scale where my the ratings actually mean something. So
Of course.
it's a fun tournament, and I definitely would spend my day watching it if it's live. But yeah, there wasn't very many memorable games. There was some cool introductions of new strategies, some new ideas that got kind of shown. But yeah, I missed the long nail biting series or something like that. I felt in score the Trap Serral series was that, but in games they were more.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't great. And then the other series was like the games were good, but then the score was more. So it felt like the series and the games weren't completely lined up in that way for me to be truly excited as like, wow, this was great and exciting. But I saw a lot of interesting stuff. I saw individual games that I found very fun. But yeah, overall 6.
Yeah, 6. All right. Tough to place, Dario. I don't know. Obviously, you watch quite a bit. If you have to give it a number, what is your number?
I would give it a 6 as well, and just join Kevin there. I think if you would just open up Liquipedia and look at the tournament from the outside, you think, wow, this is such an amazing storyline. And to me, it's like the 6 is basically I give it a 5 in games, and I give it a 7 in like overall storyline and which players did well, and that kind of average tournament in games, but really cool. And if we would have had like this tournament just based on the storyline outside, had the potential to be like a 9 or a 10 out of 10 tournaments, but the games just didn't match up with the story of it.
No, I love that. Like, I would have loved to like have something truly memorable out of this tournament. Trap getting his first W over Serral is awesome, and then you think of the games, you're like, like our Romanticide was a bit lame, the German Taxi and Nidus, and then like it didn't leave me fully satisfied. And then on top of that, it would have been so cool to finally see Bunny or Solar just go all the way, make a semi-final, make a final, give us something to talk about for a long time. And now it was just another Serral Trap Finals. Gemini, I know you want to give it a 10, but if you don't think about the fact how much you love Trap, like how special was this tournament for you? Or what would your number be?
Yeah, so it's actually a solid 15 out of 10. Just taking that down, then it is a 10 out of 10, But now, like, obviously, my favorite player winning is obviously amazing. But like, I was gonna kind of say what TLO said a lot, where it's like I felt like the stories of what we saw was much more interesting than some of the games. I mean, I felt like there was a lot of decent, good games myself. Like, the TVTs were pretty good. Some of the TVZs, although the score lines were bad, it was fun games to watch. The Trap Solar series was pretty close, I thought. So like I thought some of the games were still pretty good. So give it a solid like 7 or so as well, a 7.5, 7, or maybe 8 if I'm putting my bias up there. But just like the storylines felt pretty cool. Trap winning finally against Serral, Bunny doing as well as he did, Solar kind of dumping the group stage was pretty cool. I don't know. I thought that kind of gave it some redeeming qualities, but take my bias on that as you will.
No, like I think we all agree that obviously every big StarCraft tournament is awesome. It's always fantastic to watch the best StarCraft 2 players in the world, but it left me less satisfied than some of the season finals we had last year, or Aces ROG, which I think was an outstanding tournament. Like that really left me super hype, where it felt every day was just proper PogChamp. Oh my god, this was like, it was cool. But I wouldn't really go out of my way to tell someone that they have to go back and watch each and every single day. Like the following day, on the Monday, I casted Raynor against Sol. And I generally had more fun casting Raynor Sol than I had almost watching this entire tournament. That's how good those games were. And I was like, yes, I feel alive again. Like, finally, just like 3 20-minute games in a row where you have no idea who's going to win until like the final seconds. And then in the end, an upset victory. I was like, man, like, yeah, this is StarCraft. And the last chance was good, but I feel like we know it can be better. All right, guys, that was a proper discussion about the tournament. Really enjoyed hearing from you guys about it. Let's talk about another awesome tournament where we had the qualifiers this week, and it was one big Protoss galore. Wardi 2021. I know that Wardi has been planning this for a long time, but it's been so hard for him to find the right window for him to finally run his big tournament. We've had 4 qualifiers this week, 2 European qualifiers, 2 Korean qualifiers. Kev, you made it in the first one, correct?
Yeah.
All right. And I just want to mention, I don't know if we can
Boring.
bring
I get
this
it.
up. I think we can take a look at this on Liquipedia. Hopefully you guys have it open. Lovely Cobra. First qualifier, 7 out of 8 players in the top 8 were Protoss. Guys, we know that Europe has a lot of Protosses, but 7 out of 8, that's actually kind of pushing it, no?
Well, we need to change the narrative a little bit here, all right? So
Okay.
let's not forget. Let's not forget first of all that there's a couple of good players already invited. We have Elaser, Rainer, Clem already invited. So that's it's 3 top players that are not going to be playing.
Lambo didn't play.
Lambo didn't participate. Serral doesn't participate either. So we're missing a layer of top players here that aren't Protoss, right? And these are guys that would qualify 100%. So this tells a different story than the numbers make you believe.
I believe it, but if you look at this bracket, that's still a little bit outrageous.
Yeah, I didn't even see this bracket until right now. That's the funniest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's pretty insane. Obviously, Kev, you had a great run. Any best of 3 you want to talk about that you thought like, wow, I really played super well in this one?
No, I don't think so. I don't think the games were that great. It's fun to win, but it's I had actually one of the worst games I think I played in my life against DNS, which is my second game against him, where I don't think he was really far ahead initially, and it wasn't Oxide. Actually, I do want to talk about this. Was a great game.
Okay, go ahead.
He's on Oxide, and I can't even remember how it starts. I'm just in a crap spot. He's like on 4 bases, and I'm pretending like I want the 4th base. But I know the moment he shows up and knocks on my door, I'm happy if I keep my natural alive, you know? So he shows up at my 4th base with his entire army. I'm like, hey, you can have it. Instead of killing my 4th base for free, he's like, I think I can break his natural. And he starts charging up my ramp with like Zealot Archon and like 8 Blink Stalkers. And I have Disruptor shots and a super battery, like making hours, my friend. Like you won't believe it. And I stay alive and I get in a position where now I'm the one light years ahead. And the game continues for 20 more minutes where I'm just throwing away army after army into him. Like Disruptor shots like you wouldn't believe. Like if you miss the firework on New Year's, like this game will make up for it big time, because holy crap, like things exploded for like 15 minutes straight, and it's just we're constantly fighting. And I'm sure it was a great game to watch, but playing it, I just felt embarrassed how bad it was.
Sounds amazing. I did not see it, but it sounds like I missed out on something, and I'll see if I can find, or if I can find it somewhere and get my hands on it. Tough week for DNS, guys. Gets taken out by Coco on Death Aura, loses to Harstem.
Dude, how did that happen? I asked, but I didn't get an answer. What happened with that DNS game?
Versus Coco?
Yeah.
Long macro game, you know, 1 gate fast.
I saw that. I saw that tweet. That was fucking hilarious.
No,
was it just Gate Forge or what was it?
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
Okay.
But that's not fun.
The unbeatable build, man. It strikes again.
All right, that was one of the qualifiers. We had all 4 qualifiers. You guys saw a little bit of the Korean qualifiers as well. Let's take a look at the groups then of this $10,000 Big Wardi 2021 event. The groups have already been announced. Let's go ahead and find Harstem. Harstem is in Group B. Clem, Gerald, Rainer, TY. Wow, Kev. I feel like that's one of the easiest groups you've ever been in. How many maps are you going to drop?
I'm not sure. I don't know how many. So maybe 2, 3. Depends a bit how, like, what kind of Harstem shows up, you know? Is it the guy that can win a Dutch StarCraft League, or is he going to be happy with a 2nd place? That's the difference, you know, between getting 2nd and 1st place here as well. Nah, I mean, this is insane. My PVT is absolutely god awful as well. Like, I'm so bad in this matchup. So when I saw Clem and TY, I was pretty upset. For some reason, though, whenever I play against TY, I always feel like there's some chances there for me. And he doesn't know quite how I play, which is definitely an advantage for me as well. So maybe I can make something work there. Gerald is beatable, but also very tricky, quite good in PvP. And Rainer, I mean, I said it earlier, I think he's actually the best player. So.
And it's a little bit of your nemesis, right, Gerald? I feel like he ruined your dreams last year once or twice in the Dreamhack final. Twice even, yeah.
Yeah, twice.
All right. Well, that's going to be a fun one to look forward to. Talk a little bit about Group A. Dario, Cure, Elasis, Showtime, Euthermo, and Zest. Who wins it? Who takes 2nd and 3rd?
I think that's actually a pretty crazy group where you have a lot of players with styles that aren't necessarily always the most normal. So it could become a little bit strange. Showtime, I feel like, will feel like he really has to live up to being the wall and having like a bunch of stuff thrown at him that could end games very quickly, or that is just strange in general. It's always so hard because if you see Zest in a group like that, you just want to say, of course, Zest is gonna make it. Well, okay, so I'm gonna say Cure is gonna make it out of the group. I think Showtime is gonna show up, and then it gets tricky for me because I feel like it could be all three of them. But I'm just gonna believe in my former teammate Mark and put my support behind him. But I feel like it's really unpredictable for me who's gonna be third place in that group.
The liquid bond is strong. Mana, Group C, Innovation, Ragnarok, Rogue Soul, and yours truly. What do you make of your group?
If I can win EPT weekly, I can definitely top this group. Like, come on, this is nothing. Rogue online, Ragnarok, who? Soul, I'm definitely the best Polish Protoss and player overall. And Innovation, this guy is washed up. You know, he's over. I'm definitely topping this.
All right, I love it. Who takes second then?
Me as well.
Okay.
I play so good. I take 2 spots. No, I mean, yeah. In all honesty, I think it's a difficult group overall. I think I have a decent shot at advancing overall. I don't think I can take 1 or 2 spots, but first place is doable. It depends how my games versus Soul go. Usually, actually, in the recent times, Soul has been owning me good overall in the series, so it's going to be a tough match. I think our styles clash in his favor recently. So I think it's going to be Innovation advancing no matter what. And I want to advance, so put myself not second, but just overall a second person to advance. And then the third one, probably Rogue, if he wants to show up, which since he played this qualifiers and he's, actually playing in the game, in the tournament, I think he will advance because he doesn't feel like he doesn't want to be here,
I think all groups look fun, especially I think Group B, Cap's group. I'm very interested in that one. But I think Group D stands out the most for me. Beyond Creator, Maxi Paxi, Solar, and Trap. Gemini, is that a group that you're looking forward to, my friend?
Yeah, because it's actually kind of a fun-looking group, right? Like, all of the Koreans are pretty good. Creator's honestly playing really well recently. Like, I've been seeing some of his Oli Moly games and stuff like that. Like, he's been playing some pretty good stuff. Like, his PvP is really good right now. His PvZ is pretty spicy. He did actually just get 0-3 by Solar, the last one I did see, so that's a little never mind. But he's I don't know, he's doing pretty good. Max Pax I really want to see what Max Pax does versus Koreans, right? Like, I want to see what the response is. I want to see how that happens. And like, these are 4 Koreans that are just kind of, I'm just kind of interested in general. They're just fun to watch. So now to see how Max Pax does against them with how good he's been doing recently, like this group actually looks really cool.
Kev, I don't know if you would agree with this, but I felt there was a time last year where I felt people really overhyped Max Pax. Like, he was clearly good. He was clearly a talented player. But people were like, yeah, we've got Reyno, we've got Clem, and we've got Max Pax. And I was like,
no,
stop
that's
it, guys.
Not the
like,
case, yes.
Yeah, stop it at all. And I'm not saying that we're there now yet, but he has really impressed me over the last 3-4-ish months. I was like, damn, Max Pax, he's actually getting that good. And I love to see it, man. Like, I'm really excited to see him play in this group.
He is great. He's very friendly as well. I talk with him every now and then. He's super polite, very nice. Always shows up to my stream as well. Gives me some quick pointers on why I'm losing, and then pops out again. I absolutely love the kid. He's great, and I'm just not sure how he's gonna do. He played his first tournaments, like his real tournaments. The Dreamhacks last year. I think he came in summer for the first time. I think he might have won a single map. Or maybe 2 maps or something like that. He did really poor. And the second time around, he already did way better. And now, I checked the other day. And out of the last 6 times he played against Showtime, he won 5 times.
I know.
The kid is crazy, man. He's so good. And the thing is that I actually think he's one of those guys where his reputation is part of the reason why he's good as well. Like, he is scary to play against. I dislike playing against him because you got to keep certain things in mind, and once you start keeping things in mind, like, you're not, you kind of get biased towards these things. Like, whenever I play against him, I'm like, there's gonna be DTs, and I'm like building cannons like before I get gates 5 and 6, and then he pushed with blink stocks. I'm like, damn, not enough units, So yeah, it's like he's super aggressive, takes massive risks. And then he just, like, his late game still isn't great, but it's slowly but surely getting better as well. And his mid game, he knows how to finish games now. Like, he's one scary Protoss player from Denmark. And
what
we
I
haven't had a
love-
scary player from Denmark in a long time.
And what I absolutely love about the kid too is that he plays to his image. He knows people are afraid of his cannons, so he fakes the cannon rush like 1 out of 3 games, and everyone takes it serious because it's max and he's really good with cannon rushes. And then the one time they don't take it serious anymore, then it's a real cannon rush. And I love that he's aware of that he knows that people have these things in their mind, and he uses it to his own strengths. Like, I'm absolutely pumped to see this kid play. Mana, have you also been a little fan of Max Packs?
Yeah, I think he has improved a lot. I think the way that he plays, the way that I understand how he plays, is very smart, and I think he's definitely has some potential to still improve, which is great. So we were missing a new Protoss up and comer, the young up and comer. Like, we had Raynor and Clem, and now Max was obviously, as we said, it's still not the same level, but if he keeps up improving on such a rapid pace, he definitely can be a contender, and I definitely root for him. He's a good guy, so I wish him the best for sure.
All right, Gemini, this was still kind of your group to talk about. So who wins it? Other than, well, you know what, Trap's gonna win it. Who takes 2nd and 3rd place?
Yeah. Yeah, I think Trap will win it. I think maybe he'll come 2nd if he has like a kind of a bad day. Like, he could easily get hit by Beyond or Solar in a smaller series. I think he could even lose to Creator if Creator's doing his good PvP stuff. But I'd say I feel like the safe answer is just Trap Beyond Solar. Like, I don't know, it's kind of hard. Or Trap Solar Beyond. Maybe Creator sneaks in as 3rd. Maybe Max Pax just, goes full god and just wins the whole thing. How about that? None of the Koreans expect a single thing. He can rushes every single one of them. Wins every time. I don't know.
Definitely my favorite group here. I think you're underrating Max Packs. I think he's going to make top 3 at least. And
you think he's actually going to?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. I like him too, and I think he's been doing sick recently. I haven't seen him versus Koreans really ever, so that's where my questioning comes in. So that's why I do want to really watch this group, because I want to see how well he does do versus these Koreans.
I wonder what Koreans think about Max Packs. Like, do they know? Like, what do they know about him? That's what I'm really curious.
Yeah, I don't know if they know much. Like,
well, Beyond will know what he's dealing with when Void Rays show up 3.5 minutes into his game. Did you guys see the finals of the weekly last Monday? Like, Max Packs was like 1 misclick away. If Clem would have made a misclick, which he didn't, but 1 misclick away on Romanta's side. Max Packs was up 2-0 over Clem. Void Ray all in on Romanta's side. And Clem goes down the ramp and he does like the little dance with the Void Ray, with the Cyclone lock on. And I got so nervous even watching it, because 1 little misclick and that Cyclone dies. Max Packs just wins the grand final 3-0. I thought it was really fun. Like, Max Packs kind of got bopped in the semifinals by Salt. He's down 0-2 and he's like, but what about Void Rays? And then he just basically does 2 Void Ray all-ins, and then the last game, I think he did it again, and Soul super countered it, so he shut it down, he killed the Pylon, killed the Stargate, then Max Packs built another Stargate, and still successfully Void Ray Soul. It was a work of art, guys. I don't know if you saw it, but it was fantastic.
I think Max Packs over... Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Oh, this is a dumb meme. It reminds me of this one guy on Korean Ladder that I play all the time. He's a barcode, like 5K player, and literally every game he goes to Stargate Void Ray in a different way every time. It doesn't matter what he does. He'll get it scouted, he will cancel it, and then he will remake it somewhere else and still do it. I'm just like, what is happening?
Go ahead, Mana. What did you want to say?
I think the way that the Max Packs is executing the strategies is just very good. Like, it's optimized, and he knows what he's doing, what he's scouting for. He understands the strength of the strategy that he's going for, and that's what makes him the scary player. That, like, we know Soul is good, right? But he lost against the Void Ray all-in twice in a row, and that's just because of the max execution. Like he will change maybe one thing, so Sol cannot really fix the mistake that he did. So yeah, I think just max execution of the builds is very, very good, and this is something to learn from.
And you know what I also love about the kit? And this reminds me a little bit of Bly, where if people start going out of their comfort zone, thinking that they have a blind counter, he already knows how to deal with that. Like, I feel he's very good in adjusting to what is quote-unquote a blind counter, because then games get weird and he gets into a zone where he's like, oh no, I actually know how to play this. And then the regular macro player is like, well, I think this is good, so I'm just rolling with it. And I think that's where he really excels at as well. He's very good in the uncomfortable scenarios. Have you noticed that too, Kev?
Yeah, I think it tends to happen where the guys that, they always create the weird scenarios, similar with parting, max packs, like you mentioned, Bly, they tend to kind of shine in them. Yeah, I definitely feel that way as well. Even though I feel like max packs is a little bit worse than he's behind than, for example, I find parting, because he doesn't quite carry the same weight into the late game as he does into the early stages of the mid game and the early game as well. So I feel like a lot of his play is still really focused on really getting a nice little lead or creating a situation that might be chaotic, but still somewhat advantageous for him. Like he's good at that, but I think that's the main area that he still needs to improve in a little bit. And then he's gonna be really difficult to beat.
Well, as you guys can hear, we're all looking forward to Wardi's big 2021 tournament. It kicks off tomorrow, actually, already. We're at Group A. That's the group of Curie, Laser, Showtime, Uthermo, and Zest. It starts in 17 hours from now, so I guess that's Saturday, 1 p.m. Central European Time. Enjoy it, guys. Make sure to check it out. Support Wardi. Obviously, he does a lot of great things, and this is just one of the many great tournaments I am sure that he will run today. This one actually sponsored by one of his viewers, Earth Nasty. So big shout out to that man too for allowing Rotti to run such a cool event. Good luck, guys. Good luck, Harstem. Good luck, Mana. Looking forward to the games. That kind of does it for our official part. So I guess it's time for our Q&A. We've got, obviously, if you are a Patreon supporter, you can always submit your questions, I believe, on the Pylon Show's Discord. Big shout out to all the Patreon supporters. Without you guys, it wouldn't be possible for Dan and Cobra to run this fantastic StarCraft 2 show. We couldn't do it without you. We love you guys. Do we have questions yet, my lovely producer?
Yes,
have
we
people
do.
reached out to us?
We need to make sure that people don't try to submit them on the Discord. It doesn't work that way. We go over to the website and we click this button right here that says Patreon Q&A, and then there's a form. It limits them, and then they get dumped in this lovely part right here, and we're ready to go.
All right. I am so sorry. As you can see,
No, you're fine.
I'm unprepared. So don't do it on Discord, guys. Well, thank you very much, Cobra. Let's take a look at some of the questions we already have. And I believe you guys can still submit them for our guest today. Starting things off with Seed Zero, I guess. To all, give me your hottest take about something related to cooking or food. I want to take so scorching hot that the people on the show with you will think less of you. I want to take so scorching hot that the people on the show will think less of you. And shoutouts to Coach Pupil League. Regular season just started and week 1 will start being casted next week. Check it out. I will do my best. All right, Dario, I believe if I look around, I know it's not me. Harstem, maybe. Gemini, absolutely do not believe in it. Man, I think he can probably cook, but I think you are by far and away the best cook out of us 5. So give us a hot take.
It's tricky for me because I feel like I'm very open to every cuisine, but I'm like almost like not a traditionalist. I like a lot of experimentation as well, but there's nothing food-wise that I do or like that anybody would say that's crazy, because I really appreciate the craft. And like I wouldn't do anything sacrilegious, So I don't think I have like any super hot take about that. Other than maybe if I and maybe that's too high level, and for some people it would be a hot take, but I think Toronto literally has the best food in the world, and people wouldn't expect that from Canada, but Toronto is the food capital of the world, and people that say that's somewhere in France or somewhere in Japan are wrong, because Toronto has every cuisine in the world on such a high level. So I'm just repping my city that I'm living in here now, so let's go.
Just admit, we've told you to do it.
No, like that's something that she maybe initially said, but I've come to be a believer.
of course.
This is a low test take. Listen to this. I got something way better for you. Pizza has to be the most overrated food in the entire world. Many people pretend like pizza is like some of the best things you can have, and even the best pizza is never even gonna make it in my top 25 of foods.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
a pretty
I
hot
love
take. I
pizza.
disagree because I love pizza, mate.
I
Like,
fucking
There
love
we
pizza
go.
every day. And I'll have you know, Rotti, I can make some banging pizza, so get out of here with that take. But I will say, I don't know if this is actually a hot take or not, but every time I say it to someone, they look at me weird. I think ketchup's terrible, and I don't like ketchup in any way, and I don't like it on anything. Is that a bad take? I don't know.
I disagree with it. I'm not the biggest. I am a sauce guy. Ketchup, not necessarily my favorite.
Oh,
but-
okay. Then this is
Mayonnaise,
actually my
though.
take. I hate sauce like any sauce. Like I actually
Yeah,
don't eat
that's a
sauce on
horrible
anything.
take. Get out of
Yeah,
here,
yeah,
mate.
yeah. I literally like, you know, if you give me a thing of chicken fingers or whatever, chicken tender, I will literally just eat that, and that's better. Fries, better. Put me back on the fucking thing, Cobra. What is this?
No, we'll remove him from the show. This is the worst take I've ever heard in my life. Well done, Gemini. Well,
I win the
man, I
question.
know that you cannot possibly top that in having a worst take, but do you have any bad takes related to food?
No, I think just overall, I'm just really picky when it comes to the food. I'm like a kid, so I don't really have anything funny or hot take. Yeah, I have nothing to add here.
All right. Maybe my hot take is that I think Korean barbecue is overrated. If it wasn't for that, like, the brown sauce, like the bean paste, like I actually wouldn't even like it. I basically just drown everything I eat in Korean barbecue in that soya bean paste or like the brown little thing, whatever they call it. And that makes it pretty good. Other than that, I actually think it's overrated. What I do love is the fun experience, you know, all sitting at a table, eating the food together. I enjoy that part. The actual food, I honestly don't think it's very good.
I actually agree with you, Kevin, and that would have been my second pick. The Korean barbecue, especially in esport, is incredibly overrated. And I love Korean food, but I actually think the best Korean food is not Korean barbecue, but like the broths and like other dishes like that. Korean barbecue is like low tier on the Korean cuisine list.
Oh, the sauce is like samjom or something.
Samjam.
Samgyeopsal.
Yeah,
samjam.
I love that sauce, and as long as I have meat and I drown it in that sauce, then like I will have a good time eating Korean barbecue. If us five can go, I would love it. But like I wouldn't necessarily go by myself and be like, "Wow, I'm so pumped to eat all of this." Like, yeah, I think there are better takes. All right, fun question. And Gemini, you definitely get the top prize for having the worst take of all time. Imagine eating French fries without mayonnaise. Like, I wouldn't even want to eat French fries anymore. I couldn't do it.
But dude, French fries are just good. Like you could just eat French fries. I will just
No.
eat French fries. What do you need to put on them? They taste
Mayonnaise.
good.
You need mayonnaise.
What the fuck are you putting mayonnaise on French
Yes.
fries
Spicy
for?
mayonnaise.
What
Absolutely.
mayonnaise with rice? You guys are disgusting.
No, that's
No, man.
Thank you,
because
man.
your
Oh
okay,
my
your
gosh.
mayonnaise
High
is
five.
garbage tier.
Yes,
Like,
that is
actually.
true. You know,
Yeah.
Carmack once upon a time told me that Poland has the best mayonnaise in the world. Then I went there, I had French fries with mayo. I was like, Carmack, you are so incredibly wrong. Dutch mayonnaise is the best mayonnaise in the world.
I
That's
even
my
know
hot
what mayonnaise he was talking about for sure.
take. All right, fun question. Let's take a look at our next question. Question for Rotti. Why does Warcraft 3 have upkeep? How does it actually make the game better? What would the problem be with allowing large armies with no downside? It doesn't seem to be an issue in other RTS games. Also, if Blizzard made one final RTS game, would you want it to be Warcraft 4 or StarCraft 3? You know what, Kev? I'll let you, since I know that you have also played a lot of Warcraft 3. People don't know this, but Harstem and I, we already battled back in the Warcraft 3 days. Kev, why does Warcraft 3 have upkeep? And how does it actually make the game better?
I have
Or
no
does it?
clue, man. I don't know why it makes it better. I played, but let's not overstate my role in the Dutch Warcraft 3 scene, all right? There was 10 people playing, and I was rank 10, so...
All right. I think we can answer that second question. I mean, my take on it is that it's just one of the things that was part of the game. What it does allow for is maybe some comebacks because people don't necessarily max out immediately. So they will often have better items, but they won't necessarily have a much bigger army. So to some degree, it keeps the losing player in the game a bit longer. Am I that big of a fan of upkeep? I don't know. It's such a long time. I'm so used to not having upkeep now that I don't know if it makes the game better or worse, but I think that's the main reason they have it in, to make sure that there is a proper comeback potential for the losing player. I think the second question by this man, Parag Gleiber, by the way, thank you very much for supporting a question. We should all answer this one. If Blizzard made a final RTS game, would you want to be Warcraft 4 or StarCraft 3? Harstem.
StarCraft 3.
Gemini.
StarCraft 3, 100%.
Mana.
I come from Brood War, StarCraft 3.
Dario?
Yeah, StarCraft 3 as well, clearly.
All right, I'm going to be the only one who says Warcraft 4 then. But I want it to be
Cobra,
more...
get
No,
it his camera.
I love both Warcraft 3 and
Bad
StarCraft
takes,
2,
bad
obviously. And I actually think that StarCraft 2 is the better game. But I do think Warcraft 3 was a lot more innovative and a lot more creative than StarCraft 2 is. And if I can have it my way, I want a game similar to Warcraft 3, but close to the pace of StarCraft 2. So I want to have a Warcraft with the pacing of StarCraft. Because right now, if I watch Warcraft, I'm like, the units move so slow and like everything is so clunky, and I don't like it. So I want the hybrid version, but I do like the Warcraft universe. Actually, maybe I'll just... No, you know what? StarCraft 3. StarCraft universe. Sorry, guys. I'm on board. I tried to get carried away by my old feelings, but I'll disagree with myself. I want StarCraft 3.
Like actually though, like I can't see myself playing an RTS if it doesn't feel like StarCraft. Like I feel like I'm not an RTS player at all. I'm just a StarCraft player. Like if the new Frost Giant game doesn't feel like I'm playing StarCraft 2, I am gonna have a hard time playing it. Is that the bad taste? Is that the bad take?
That is kind of a bad take, because I think games can be great if it's not necessarily like StarCraft. I just think that a lot of the other RTSs that you may have tried, either you try them like too late, like obviously if you're used to StarCraft 2 and then you play Warcraft 3, it's hard to fall in love with that game and the movement. And every other RTS has just been proper crap. There's no other way to put it. So that's why I think you probably don't feel like an RTS player. I think RTS games can be
I actually
good.
did start with Warcraft. I played a lot of Warcraft 3, not like actual competitive, but like a lot of custom games and UMS and all that stuff. So it's just StarCraft did kind of, bring me in more. And I did play Brood War, I guess, first, but again, still I was a kid. But I still feel like StarCraft 2 is like, I feel like you can't do better than StarCraft 2. I feel I'm like a StarCraft 2 purist.
I don't agree with that. I think, like, I love StarCraft 2, but I actually believe you can make a better game than StarCraft 2. Just a bit more dynamic, more fun interactions, more movement, different elements that can spice up the game even a bit more. StarCraft 2 is incredibly solid, but I think there is room for improvement.
Yeah, I agree. I think you don't need to reinvent like StarCraft 2 or like StarCraft in general. I think that's what happens with a lot of RTS, where people think, oh, in order to make a successful RTS, you need to come up with some crazy new idea that changes everything. But if you just take StarCraft 2 as a base game and just change some of the things that are not good about it, I think you could make an even better game. And like take the things that are cool about Brood War, the things that are cool about Warcraft, like take all the best nuggets and then see how they could potentially work together in one game. Not saying you should just make a hybrid of all those games, but I think there's a ton of potential.
Yeah, and I do agree with that. But me personally, like if the game doesn't really feel like I'm actually playing StarCraft 2, I personally am just gonna have a hard time playing it as much as I do StarCraft 2. Everyone else, like sure you can, you have your feelings, but that's just my take on it, to be a little bit more serious on it.
That makes sense.
Harstem, Mana, any final comments?
I think just the client is very important as well. Not the game itself, but the social interaction. Like when we started StarCraft 2, we didn't even have chat channels or anything like that. Like just think of how far we have come through with StarCraft 2 after all these years. Like right now, Battle.net is okay, it's good. Like we can post lobby links. We have like it's so much better than it was before. There's still so much room for improvement. And I think the game itself, like the gameplay is important, but also just the things outside of the game are just as equally important to keep the community engaged, to simply hang out, around the game.
One of my biggest pet peeves that I've absolutely hated for the last 11 years in StarCraft 2 is that profiles in StarCraft 2 are so lame.
Oh, that's so garbage.
Yeah,
yes,
dude.
that's so bad.
Yeah, I can't even write something. There's some portrait selection now, but I want more freedom. I want to be able to express myself. I want to be able to post Harstem's YouTube channel on my profile so people can find more videos, It's like, I hate it. They took everything away that was fun in Warcraft 3 profiles.
Yeah, and give us stats. Like, I want to see how many Zerglings I made throughout my entire career, and I want to see, what are my win rates like, and show it to people, and, like, have interesting stuff, right? Like, what is my average APM if APM would actually be usable in StarCraft 2, like across all my games, and having
Yeah.
cool stats like that. And then at the end of a game, I can see like, how did I compare like to my game now to like the last 100 games or something like that. There's so much more you could do with stats.
Yeah, the Warcraft 3 Battle.net UI was just beautiful, dude. Like,
So
it
good.
was so much better. Like, everything they did with it was better. Just that your profile was so much more clean and much more usable. The tournament system as well was also kick ass, dude.
Yep.
When they announced StarCraft 2 tournaments, I was like, this is gonna fucking save. Like, this is amazing. I've been waiting for this forever, and then they just butchered it. It was like so much worse, and I was so sad. But Warcraft 3 did nail a lot of that stuff.
No,
You
I
know
brought
what was
this up like 5 years in a row, but at summits that the automated tournaments in StarCraft 2 suck compared to Warcraft 3. All they had to do was copy what they had in Warcraft, and it would be fantastic. And they just said, no, people like it like this. And I was like, I've never met anyone who likes it like this. But yeah, Kev, go ahead. You wanted to say something?
Yeah, like I just have like my memories of Warcraft 3 are a lot as well, like sitting in chat channels and just talking with people.
Yeah,
You used to have like these trivia bots which would ask questions at
Yes.
infinite points
Yes,
in the trivia
oh, yes.
bot.
That was so
I played as a
amazing.
crap ton. Like I just sit there and like, and the 16 there was a 40 limit right in chat channels. So you had like these chat channels that if you were full, you couldn't get in anymore. And there was always like, you automatically got put in the Dutch chat as well, and there was a couple of complete idiots always flaming each other in there, and you just knew you go online on Warcraft 3. Like you could read that stuff for 2 hours straight. I'd have a great time. Like I remember one of the guys was called FCUH_NL. He was there the entire day just talking complete crap. Like hour after hour. You'd play like 5 games, come back in the chat channel, and he'd still be like discussing like politics with someone or telling like about his hot date the day before. Like this guy was the biggest idiot I've ever seen online. He was always there. Like it was such a good time, honestly. And it's just also the icons that showed in chat, right? If you saw someone with the freaking Furion or whatever, you knew this guy was like, yeah, this is it.
A gamer. He's a video gamer. Yeah, I was always really proud to show off my Farseer in the chat. I remember that too, because like there were only 40 people indeed in like Frozen Throne, NLD, Netherlands, and then -1. So often you get put in the second one, but then you just wait until a slot opens up and you just keep trying to join NLD1. And once you're in NLD in, you're like, oh, I'm sad. Like you can just lean back. You're like, I'm hanging out with the cool kids now. Great Battle.net memories. On a more serious note, Dario. Okay, we have our next question, but I love what you said about stats. And one last thing I want to say about stats is that, yes, after a couple years, we finally got like some stats right in StarCraft 2, but our stats are still pretty crappy and lackluster. Like, I see win-loss record for maps, but it doesn't tell me how well I'm doing against certain races on those maps. Is that really that much to ask? I don't think so. I want to see how well I'm doing on each map against each race. And on top of that, when it just says like win-loss versus Zerg, Terran, Protoss, it'd be very cool if you could have a little more info, a little more data to work with. How well do I do against Zerg players that are 200 MMR higher than me? How well do I do against Zerg players that are 200 MMR lower than me? Like, these are not completely unreasonable requests in the year 2021, you know? And I love data. I can see that you get very excited over stats, Dario, but I would love to just have way more numbers to work with.
Yeah, like imagine you could just search for a player and it shows you, like you obviously have your match history, but I'd love to just be able, hey, I picked this player, show me my win-lost against that player in game. Like, why is that not possible? And like, obviously it's possible. We can do that outside of the game with third-party tools. And I think sometimes UI designers get a little bit obsessed with keeping things clean, but just give us like an advanced option that everybody else can hide, that doesn't care about it, and then hit me with like this gigantic spreadsheet if I want to take a look at it. And then you know, the people that are really into it can enjoy it and everybody else can hide it away.
I would love that, and that would be so fun. Like, for instance, Mana Harstem. I'm sure you guys have played quite a few ladder games this season, but wouldn't it be cool to see how well you guys have done in this season on the ladder, and then all time, like, I really hope that Frost Giant nails all of that stuff, and that's obviously...
I can't wait to see my 0% win ratio versus Showtime on the ladder.
All right, next question.
Super quick shout out. I know we're going on, but SC2replaystats.com. If you want to actually know all that stuff, it auto uploads your replays, and you can get all those things that Rotti's talking about.
That is very cool, but it should still be in the game.
I agree. But if you want it for SC2,
all right.
Go.
Next question, Polly. Any news about alphastar, or is it catching dust at Google? What would you do with it? Having the option, meaning it on the ladder still, or having a new option just playing against it? Question mark. I would like to have a tournament against it. Dario, I feel like you're the perfect man to answer this question because I know you were very involved with all the people over at the DeepMind offices.
Right, absolutely. So from a StarCraft 2 perspective, I haven't heard anything that's there's going to be new developments for alphastar when it comes to like playing on ladder or like people playing against it. Like what you have to understand is that it was never the goal. Like StarCraft 2 was a vehicle to research AI, and they made a lot of amazing discoveries with that, and they optimized a lot of things through StarCraft 2 as an environment. But one of the biggest issues that StarCraft is as an environment is that every time there was a patch, it just destroyed everything. So they had to work within these timelines where like a new patch comes in like 3 months, so we can only do like research with this version within this time frame, and then it becomes very costly for them if they had to rebuild things based on patches. Now, obviously, we don't have as many patches anymore, so actually it would kind of be awesome if something new would start up. But what is really cool is, and for the StarCraft 2 community, I think, is that alphastar, what they learned from alphastar actually contributed to a new discovery that DeepMind made when it comes to protein folding, which is like AI basically helping medical research on a really important level where they can hopefully discover more cures for diseases and cancer. And what was learned from alphastar was at least like some part of making that discovery possible. So that's really cool, and that's ultimately why they are doing stuff like this, because games are an amazing environment to make AI better and then hopefully do other things that are cool in the world, rather than just, it's cool for us to beat Serral like with an AI, but that's not really what helps the world, right? And they're more, the focus is more on like how can they make the world better.
Yeah, so I think it's safe to say that the time for alphastar to shine in StarCraft 2 is kind of gone, but we'll talk about it for a long time, and it was obviously very cool to witness some of it, but do not expect any appearances of alphastar on the ladder or tournaments whatsoever. Next question. Alexander had some show notes for us. What was that? Can we go back to it? Where was that not supposed to be on screen? Because I missed it. All right. This was actually just one of the responses. As I'm very interested in SCAI, so there is, unfortunately, there's just not much to report. That's kind of what Dario said. I think it kind of sums it up perfectly. I do know that a long time ago, while alphastar was still thriving and they were working actively on it, I know it was the dream of a lot of people that worked back then at Blizzard that no longer work at Blizzard. But back then it was definitely the dream to have like the ultimate big hype show match where it's like Team World versus alphastar, kind of what Go had, and something that Chess probably had in the past. And they definitely wanted to make a very big thing out of it. Just unfortunately, that could never really come to fruition. And in the end, they had to cancel those plans. And I was sad because that would have been a great moment for StarCraft 2 to be on the world stage, really make it a big thing, a big happening. Probably get a lot of press coverage of it as well. But yeah, unfortunately, that fell through, and I don't think we're ever going to have that. So, do we have a next question, Mr. Cobra?
We do.
We do. Walk Like a Human asked us, since you're all European, is there any build that really makes you go, it's nice against NA players? For example, something very nuanced like Proxy Tempest. Are there also builds that you can only pull out during certain times, like builds you can't use when it's freaking hot?
What is this?
Harstem, I know that you were suffering last summer because it was very hot in the Netherlands. Are there only builds that you can use when it's not warm outside?
No, not really. I have no clue. This entire question is really confusing to me. I don't know. I have no clue. No, I think you can just play everything. Usually when it's cold, you're worse at microing, but when you're hot, you're just sweaty. I don't know. That's it. I don't know. I have no clue what to answer.
Gemini, is there any build you like to use specifically against NA players?
Isn't this a Todd reference? Like the
Yes, when it's freaking hot.
I mean, no, but I guess this is kind of funny. I guess I'm an American living in Korea that is apparently now European, according to this question. But yeah, I just like, I mean, I just play macros like standard as best as I can. Like my whole thing is to be as, you know, mechanically standard and good as a Korean player, right? So like, I guess me just doing that on NA and flexing my Korean mechanics that are not Korean at all. I don't know.
That is such a lie, Gemini. Every game I've ever had against you, you try to run in Dark Templars with
Yes, but
crappy
that's because
economy.
you are Mr. Phoenix Man, okay? And now, and so then I become DT Man, and then I, you know, I need to go ahead and do that. But versus other people, you know, it's a little bit different.
On the talk show, everyone is always a macro god, but then you see them on the on the ladder, guys.
I mean, okay, so when you're a person that literally does one thing, and then I feel like you have a skewed perspective a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, sure. We're moving on.
Go ahead and
All right.
watch my stream VOD and see the million macro games in a row.
All right, I will make damn sure to do. That's actually the first thing I'm gonna do right after the show, Gemini.
I wouldn't. You know what? That is exactly the correct thing you should do.
I was thinking of Harstem versus DNS on Oxide because that sounded really fun, but I'm gonna scrap all those plans. I'm gonna watch the Gemini VOD. All right. Refrigerator saying, what is one thing you really like about where you live? What's a good local tourist attraction that you visited? Something a bit obscure, maybe. Harstem, I believe that you're getting into the video business of giving tours around RotterdaM these days. So,
Yes.
what is one thing that you really enjoy about where you live?
Snackbar het Oosten. Some of the best fries and typical Dutch snacks that you're gonna get in the west side of Kralingen. So if you're ever around, my friend, that's where you want to be going for some quality fries or frietje speciaal. And then say a couple of words like, hey! And they'll understand exactly what you want. All right?
All right, Harstem, I've got a very important follow-up question for Harstem. Harstem, bitterballen with mayo or mustard?
Ooh. That's difficult. I think I'd go for mayo then. But on a croquette you put mustard, but bitterballen? I go for mayo, I think.
I promise, Mana, Gemini, Dario, whenever you guys are around, I will make sure that you guys, if you ever make it to the Netherlands, can experience all the best bitterballen, and then you guys can choose. And I will force sauce, Gemini. Like, do not even think for a second that you're gonna eat a bitterball without mayo or mustard, because it's not.
I was promised a fricandel, but we never got to it, Kevin.
Those are pretty good too. Those are pretty good, but bitterball is my favorite actually. Mana, what is something that you really love about where you live?
I just like that there's a lot of green around my area. Just like a lot of forests, a lot of, not like, you know, wilderness, but just, you know, lots of fresh air. It's not very polluted, so I just like it a lot.
Dario?
I think that's a bit similar. In Toronto's obviously a huge city, but what's really cool about it is that we have a lot of rivers running through the cities, and there's these ravines with green spaces where it's just this like where it just goes down, and they couldn't build anything there. So you have these green strips through the city where you can go for really nice walks, but you're in the middle of the city. And another thing I really like about Toronto is that it's just so many different neighborhoods that are completely different within like 20 minutes, you know, transit or drive there. You know, where every district has its like own little, you know, they have so many different nationalities in Toronto. So you have like this in this place, this kind of food is amazing, and this place, this kind of food is amazing, and you know, this street looks a little bit different than this one. So I really like that. And if you ever come to Toronto, what I really liked when I came here first is taking a ferry from on the lake to like one of the islands that are close to the city, and you get just this beautiful view of the skyline of Toronto from the water, which is really cool.
Gemini, I know that you live in Seoul, South Korea these days. What is something that you keep posting the same picture on Instagram, by the way. I've noticed that. There's like this sort of river. There's like, I've seen that picture like 3 times over the last 2.5 years, mate. Like, what's happening? You must really love that place.
I mean, that's it's like the river that's like literally like a 1-minute walk from my house, so I can just go there all the time. So I just, you know, whenever I'm out there, I just like, oh, cool, it's another one of this spot. It's just a very photogenic. It's a very photogenic river. Like, I just love that. I just love going over there. It's really nice. But yeah, Korea's awesome. I think my answer of what I like about it the most is actually might sound kind of funny, but I love the subways. The subway system here is insane. Like the Korean subway system is so good compared to anywhere else I've ever been. and I used to live by New York, so that's like a huge, a massive stark contrast. But like, it's so good to just be able to go anywhere you want at the, complete convenience of like $1 or $2 to go across the entire country almost. It's just like it's super clean, it's super efficient. I don't know. I just love the subway system.
All right.
Nice. There you go. There's my yes. Also, there's
Here's
my
the
old
Gemini
cats. There we go.
The Gemini Instagram. Can't wait to beautiful pictures, mate. Well done.
Thank
I
you.
can answer it quickly as well. These days I actually live in Zuidland, which is like 25 kilometers or 20 kilometers away from RotterdaM. What I like about living in Zuidland, I guess, is that it's ultra quiet. Like, guys, I'm not exaggerating when I say I have lived here now for a year and a half. I have seen one cop car in Zuidland in a year and a half. Like, you just never see, nothing happens here. There's like 4,500 people living here. Everybody's growing potatoes around me, and like they're just wondering what is that weird boy doing that always has a camera and weird lights. Like, they see the pink lights outside. I'm pretty sure they think I'm running a brothel or something. But it's like, no, guys, I'm just playing video games. I promise. But that's nice. When we talk about RotterdaM, I like the Kop van Zuid, which is cool, and just walking across the Erasmusbrug or the Erasmus Bridge. I think that's fun, and definitely in the summer, just kind of being in the city center, Stadhuisplein, beautiful view on how do you call it, the city hall, a fun place to drink a beer, eat some bitterballen with mustard or mayo, however you please. I think that's really fun stuff. So, all right, fun question. Let's move on. What is next? Oh. Well, yeah, I haven't really posted a whole lot on my Instagram, but I love the promotion. All right. For some reason, it's a bit cut off right now. There we go. A Red Gunner guy asking us, for brand new players, never RTS before, is Protoss the easiest race to learn with the strongest A-move units and comparatively easier mechanics at the start? Been doing YouTube series teaching my friend. TOS seems easier than Terran. Again, brand new players. Not talking about the Serral level. All right, Dario, go ahead.
So this is going to be a little bit counterintuitive to most people because usually it's seen as the hardest race. But I think for somebody that's brand new to RTS, I think Terran is actually the easiest race to play because, first of all, you understand what every unit is just based on, I know what a Marine is, I know what a tank is, there's these parallels. And just the way you ramp up production and make units, it makes way more sense. And Protoss has all these really specific things need to know about the race, how to make a build order and stuff like this. While as Terran at the start, you can literally just make Marines, and you're gonna be able to, beat the AI or like eventually beat like other really inexperienced players. While Protoss, you need to know build orders and stuff like that for that race to even make any sense whatsoever. And then you need to warp in things, which is a little bit strange. There's all these rules, and Zerg has mechanics like creep and injects that are also not as straightforward.
Mhm.
So I think for an absolute beginner, Terran is the easiest race.
I can vouch for this 100% because when I played Brood War, my brother introduced it to me when I was like 7 or 8 years old. I remember I would only play Terran at first because it just made sense. And I tried to play Protoss like 1 or 2 times. I literally couldn't even beat the first campaign mission. This picture's incredible.
Oh my God, Dario.
It was that meme with that model, right? That had a picture like that, so everybody was posting their own version of that.
That's a good reference. Wow.
Gigi
That's
Hadid
amazing.
was that, right?
I love this, by the way. Like, we've got a bunch of Protoss players here on the Pylon show. And what we'll take away from it is that Terran is the easiest race for beginners. Absolute A move. Go with Terran. No,
Everyone in favor say aye.
Yeah, aye. No, I actually think you make very valid points, Dario. But I think this question kind of sucks because there's always like, how beginning are we talking? Never 1 second RTS before? Yeah, and then maybe Terran is indeed the easiest to get into. And then maybe Protoss becomes a bit easier once you do kind of know what you're doing. Then Zerg becomes really easy if you want to make a bunch of money in esports tournaments. But, like what level are we talking about? Like, I think it goes in waves. I feel like there are some things, it's very hard to answer. But I think you made good points, Dario. Yeah.
I mean, like if you get a maxed out army for Protoss, for example, like if you drop a 200 army for a beginner, obviously it's going to be the easiest for the Protoss player. You can just A move no problem most of the time. If you can even cast one ability like a storm or disruptor shot, you are going to win no problem. So yeah, there are different layers to the level that we are talking about. I think from the very beginning, Dario made exactly the same point I was trying to make. Just You can make Marines, you can move across the map, no problem whatsoever. Terran would be my choice as well. Yeah, because with the Zergs and the Protoss, there are different mechanics that you kind of need to understand.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think I would definitely agree with that.
Yeah, and every Terran unit is just useful, even if you just move it. While Protoss has like all these units that are only good if you know what they're actually doing. Like if you're a total beginner and have a disruptor and you move it, you just see this ball that moves forward and does nothing and just dies, right?
Or you use force fields that are blocking them. Like Protoss micro is so hard.
During this discussion, I just lost Hero Marine and the Muslim as a follower on Instagram. Well done, guys. Well done. They're done with us. No, I think good points. You know what I always like? I've always said it. I do think Protoss is like the easiest race to get up to like a certain level. But then there is also that phase where people kind of need to learn how to do some basics. And they need to learn how to make a wall of, and the Zealot needs to be in hold position. I mean, even to pros it will happen that Zerglings run in. And I feel like in the Plat and Diamond levels, that just happens over and over and over and over again. And it's like, well, then the Zerg has a lot of units, and then the Protoss barely has a unit in the wall. So, yeah, I think you guys made some valid points.
The warped mechanic is actually so confusing. Or there's like the pylon field mechanic. I literally couldn't understand that when I was a kid trying to learn how to play Protoss. It was actually I literally didn't get it. I was like, why can't I place buildings here? This is stupid.
Kev, I have a question about that picture. Was that actually the highest point in the Netherlands? Is that like on top of a mountain, or is that just a fun monument?
The 3 country point.
Okay.
So that's where Germany, like it actually is the highest point in the Netherlands as well, and it's where Germany, the Netherlands, and Belgium meet. And if you hug the thing, the big cone in the middle, you're in 3 countries at the same time. Guess what I did? Hug the stupid cone. I was in 3 countries at the same time, losers. Yeah, it's actually the highest point.
I like that it said liked by Gemini, by the way. Apparently Gemini is your biggest fan, you know? It's like hundreds of likes, but Gemini stands up. All right, next question. Hopefully Red Gunner Guy is satisfied with that answer. Optional player asking us, I'm not trying to stir the pot. I understand topics like this can be pretty divisive and bring out the worst of us, but it's a new year and the world has seen some changes recently, so hopefully everyone is in a better mood. So my question, what's everyone's favorite Star Wars movie and why isn't it TESB? The Empire Strikes Back, I guess, is that means?
Yep.
All right.
Must be, yeah.
I'll answer first. My favorite Star Wars movie is by far and away The Phantom Menace. I love the whole pod racing, little Anakin. Phantom Menace is great, and every other Star Wars movie sucked in my opinion. But yeah, go ahead, Dario.
Yeah, I'm not a huge Star Wars person. But I do think the original trilogies are better. I think the second one is probably the best movie. Is that Empire Strikes Back?
Yeah, that's Empire.
But he's saying it's not Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah, he's trying to say that Empire's the best.
Like the worst?
No, he thinks it's the best.
Oh, okay, it's the best, but he's okay. But yeah, I think it's the best too. And I think the new movie, like I think it goes old trilogy, prequels, new movies. No,
Yes.
like that's my entire opinion about it. The new movies are just absolutely terrible.
Yeah.
Phantom Menace, though, guys. Have you seen, like, in the beginning, there's, like, the droids running around that kind of look like stalkers, even though they shoot like immortals? That's so cool.
Dude, I want a Droideka Immortal skin so bad. That would be so sick. No joke.
The prequels kind of suck, but I think they're made with more heart than the sequels. Like, I actually appreciate, like, in hindsight, I appreciate the prequels on, like, some level. They have, like, all this weird, silly stuff in it, but it's Star Wars. While the sequels, I feel like they break so many things, and they're just like, they just feel like the super polished, like, modern thing that doesn't feel like Star Wars to me.
What are you laughing about, Harstem?
Some guy said which Star Wars is Captain Picard. That's about as far as my knowledge goes as well. I know that he isn't in it, but and, I remember me, Miko, Anton, and Mini Racer. We went to watch Rogue One, and I think 3 of the 4 fell asleep. So it's just the 3 of, to be fair, so good, we had a big night the night before. But it was Star Wars isn't for me, I think. So I have no answer to this.
Mana?
Yeah, just all the movies are good. I'm not a big Star Wars fan. The new movies are complete garbage. The old movies are better. That's my answer.
No, I actually always say the Phantom Menace because, believe it or not, before I watched the Phantom Menace, I never really watched the old Star Wars movies. That was just not really a thing in my family when I was growing up. My mom and dad don't like that stuff. My brother doesn't like it, so I never really liked it either. But then everybody was super pumped when the Phantom Menace came out, and that was kind of my first Star Wars experience. And I was like, wow, the Phantom Menace is so cool. But then whenever I said the Phantom Menace is cool, everybody got really upset at me. And I was like, well, then I just keep saying it. I don't really care much for it either. What I did think is always cool, and whenever I see a sentry pop a Guardian shield, I always think of that scene in the second movie that was like Attack of the Clones, you know, the second one after the Phantom Menace, where all the clones are marching in, and they basically pop this massive Guardian shield over the army. That's what I've always seen, and to me, a Guardian shield is always a bit similar to that scene out of Attack of the Clones. I don't know if anybody else knows what I'm talking about.
I think you're actually thinking of Phantom Menace when it's all the Jar Jar dudes, and they pop the giant thing over all them. That's Phantom Menace.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, that makes the movie even better. Jeez, Louise,
that only increases your opinion.
All right, guys, moving on. Apparently,
Wait,
none
I
of
didn't
us
get to
are.
say I'm the biggest Star Wars fan here.
Okay, sorry, mate. All right, what's the best movie?
It's Revenge of the Sith. It is actually if we don't include Rogue One and like the standoffs, I think Revenge of the Sith is the best. It's actually just it's really good. Like cinematically, like looking at it, it's super like nice to look at. It's like a really pleasing movie in that regard. I feel like it kind of like actually brings everything together in the nice kind of way you want. There's bad things about it, obviously, but I grew up with the prequels. Like I watched the original trilogy as well, like when I was a kid, because my brother was huge with it. But like I liked the prequels because they were like my childhood, and I went with it. But so I don't have as much of the disdain as a lot of the older people do, I guess, towards it. But like Revenge of the Sith, I think is just such a good movie. I will always love that so much. But adding in Rogue One as well, I think is also they tie up there for me.
All right. If you're such a big fan, right? Did you play the pod racing game on the Nintendo 64?
I didn't have the 60. I didn't have a 64. I did have it on the computer. I did it on a PC.
Yeah, same. And that game is actually legitimately super fun. Like the pod game.
I got it on the Switch. I got the remastered one on the Switch. Yeah, it's so fun.
Yeah, no, it
so
feels
good.
great. It feels like so fast, and it's just a really fun racing game.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. But that's why I always thought that the Phantom Menace was kind of cool, because that's where they introduced the whole pod racing thing. And
I agree, dude. When I was a kid, Phantom Menace was also like one of my. I loved pod racing. That was the sickest thing ever.
Yeah, and they made it
so
look really
cool.
good. Like, I don't know if I watch it now, if I'm still impressed by the graphics or technology, but I remember watching it as a kid and like hearing the engines roar and like seeing them little lift off. I was like, man, this is so well made. I was like, I want to race a pod too.
Thing.
Yeah, it really was. All right, moving on. Let's take a look. Saf the Scissors asking us from Europe, who is the biggest shit talker when you are waiting in tournament lobbies, even in test? Who rages the most when you knock them out of a tournament? Harstem, why don't you go ahead and answer this one?
I don't think anyone really shit talks, honestly. It's really rare. Like most of the time we just kind of banter. I guess you would have the best banter with your friends, right? Because you can push them pretty far. So it's with Rainer, usually he's really nice. Like you can talk, he talks back real well as well. He tends to start it as well. Like he's the most likely. No one really rages very much though. I feel like, people get upset when they lose, but that's it.
There's some fire lately, I heard, between Gung Fu and Gabe. I heard that those are getting pretty feisty with each other.
Lately?
Yeah.
They've had a long history of.
Okay, I was not
okay,
aware.
I guess Gung Fu used to be really wild, yeah, but now he's calmed down a bit. But Gung Fu doesn't censor himself as much, so he tends to call out, when he doesn't like something, even if he's wrong, and then he sticks with it. He's very good at digging in. So, yeah, whenever he's in a balanced discussion or if he's just angry at someone, he'll be sure to let them know. So I can imagine that. I also know this is a slightly lateral story, but Denver and Seoul have a little thing going on right now. I'm not sure if you're aware, but about a week and a half ago or 2 weeks ago, Denver beat Seoul twice on the ladder in a row, and then Seoul said something at the end of game 2. Something like, "Ah man, I can't believe I lose to you playing so stupid." And then everyone started making broadcasts about a Seoul versus Denver match in StarCraft. Like, oh wow, I heard that Denver destroyed Seoul again. And this went on for like a week and a half where Lambo, Elaser, Rainer, me, like a couple others were constantly broadcasting about Seoul versus Denver rivalry. And now on the 2nd of February, they're doing a show match.
Oh, again. Yeah. I remember last time they had an epic show match, right? Like, wasn't Denver up like 3-0 and then Seoul still won or something? A long time ago, they had a shit talk grudge match too. That was really fun, actually. I don't know if you guys remember that, but it was really cool and close. Mana, do you still tell your opponents every now and then how good they are before you play them and that they have to go easy on you before you destroy them?
That happens from time to time, but I mean it. But I want to touch on the Gung Fu story as well, because there's I had one incident with him on the ESL Open 31. I just wanted to look up on Alugalak. That was when I beat him 2-1. I don't know if I cheesed him or something. I don't remember how the games went, but I remember immediately after I won, he said, "Enjoy your 3-0 versus Hero Marine." Like he's saying, "I'm going to lose versus Hero Marine." I did lose versus Hero Marine, but I knocked him out at least.
Was it a 3-0 though?
Yes, it was a 3-0.
I mean, not to call anyone out there, but I remember that happening in Kiev too. After someone got an upset victory over someone else, and it's like, enjoy. It's like GG, man. It's like, yeah, enjoy getting 3-0'd by Rainer next round. And he did get 3-0'd by Rainer next round. Oh, now we've got the Mana Instagram. Where's the puppies? I mean, that's a lovely relationship and all. How's your dog doing, man? It's doing good?
He's sleeping. Yeah, he's waiting for me. He's looking at me right now. Like, why are you talking to a computer? What's wrong with you? He's been jumping onto the bed all the time.
So
it's
cute.
Very cuddly now. Very cuddly.
That's actually an amazing picture. Love it. Alrighty. Moving on, right? Did we have everyone? Yeah, I think so. Next question. Do we have any other questions? It's
no.
Fair Dragon.
Here
You already know we're gonna get trolled. Hi, Protoss player and former Protoss player, 33% of the time. Big fan. I'm new to the scene and I keep hearing people talking about Serral and his washing habits. Does he not bath, or is there some clip of his roommate complaining about not washing dishes? Very confused. Keep up the great work. Team Liquid fan. Gemini, you have something for Ravi?
I don't. I just that I don't know. That's funny. It's a funny meme. I don't know. What am I supposed to say? Are we supposed to respond to this?
I don't know. Maybe we should just take it for what it is and move on.
No question mark, so move on.
Yeah. Thank you, though, Robbie.
Yes, thank you for your question, Robbie.
Thank you for being a Patreon supporter to the Pylon show. Let's keep it at that. Thank you for the meme question. Some drunk Canadian. I know he submits quite a few questions too. The StarCraft 2 scene has some great memesters. Harstem, Fear Dragon, Borsty, Gemini, nice username. Who's your favorite SC2 memer and what is your favorite all-time SC2 meme? Who'd win in a fight? A sentient... Okay, well, that second question is really silly. How can he name all these nerds? And yeah, you guys are pretty funny and stuff, but it's Drogo. Come on. There's no contest that Drogo is the best memer in StarCraft 2.
Yeah, I wanted to say that too. Yeah.
I will still kind of put one out for a nice username just because of his video edits.
Yeah, okay, that's
impressive.
No, absolutely. Joey is fantastic and has really funny videos and has made me laugh. But that's different. Like Drogo's got the one-liners, you know, the memes with the perfect picture. Like I think Drogo is
the ones that you can relate to so much.
Yes, that too. What's my favorite though? Oh, he's had so many good ones. I mean, the one that really sticks with me right now is indeed what Ben also tweeted. And whenever you look at Gabe, where it's like when you've got the EPT at 7, but 2 of the friends at 9. Like that's really funny. But Drogo had a few great ones, like all-time classics. I mean, you guys agree with me, right? It's Drogo.
He's good. I still just like Joey just because he's my good friend too, but. Drogo is way up there. The as much as it is to my demise, the Virgin Trap versus Chad Classic meme is from Drogo is top tier. That one is fucking hilarious.
I wanna scroll down right now because I remember there was one that was my absolute favorite. Kev, do you have any? I don't know.
I like most of his. I think they're very, very good. I need to open it up to see what this guy does. Dario?
Yeah, like I just agree with Drogo. There's just been so many. Like I'm looking at his Twitter account right now, and that's just it's hard to pick a favorite. Yeah, I'm in the same boat as you guys. But he's like, once in a while, just like he hits like the right timing as well. And when there's a new meme coming up, he manages to turn it immediately into like a StarCraft 2 meme. He's just very good at that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I remember he said like something about like, how do you guys, like he asked or answered a question like, how do you always have such good memes? And like his answer was literally just go search through the top of our all and just find whatever format everyone's using right now and just shamelessly rip it and just put it to StarCraft. Like that's all he did. That's what he does, and they work so well.
Like I just saw a tweet of him where it's like the farmer meme. Petit Drogo, raise your edge gaming. Won $2,400. Apparently went 1-7. And then he wrote like, it ain't much, but it's honest work. Or it ain't honest work, but it's much. Because he got carried by his boys or something. Oh, and Drogo is just too funny. There's too many good memes. The one where he made a little video was very fun too, where it's like listening to David Kim. All I need is your credit card number, and he like scrambles his wallet together.
I think Nerfing Swarm post something like that.
Yeah, yeah. So a lot of good memers, and we appreciate all of them. The videos of Joey definitely deserve a shout out. But yeah, those two have to be my favorites for sure. All right, I think if you guys are all agree, if we're all on the same page, we can move on to the next. We love the memes though. Never stop memeing StarCraft 2 scene. Doesn't nothing beats a good laugh. Blechfaust asking us, usually the maps for the new season should have been announced a few days ago, but the announcement is missing. Did I miss the post? Do you know which maps we're getting next week? What would you do if there wouldn't be new maps, at least until season 2 of 2021? Thanks and have a nice weekend. Harstem, I feel like you're always on top of this stuff. What's happening with the maps?
I have no clue. No idea, man. I haven't seen them yet, but I like the current map. It's not too bad. So it wouldn't upset me massively if we don't get new ones.
What's this rumor I'm seeing? Like people keep posting on Reddit and stuff. It's people saying that the season's getting delayed till after Katowice, and yet I've never seen anyone say that other than Reddit posts. And like the SC2 in-game thing is still said it's ending in 3 days the whole time. Like, has anyone heard anything about that? Yeah, I don't.
No.
I'm so confused.
I mean, I definitely do want new maps after Katowice, and like not before, because that would be a bit weird, right? Everyone has been practicing these maps all this time, and then all of a sudden we're gonna make them play the entire event on brand new maps.
This one is so good. Dude.
This meme is really good, actually.
I love this one.
Yeah, it's
so
only
good.
for the people who know what it is about. Oh my god.
SC2 free to play Zoomers, get out. You don't know what this is.
Yeah.
Poor
This is
Squirtle.
That is a really good meme. The funny thing is that Squirtle had that game. He just made a misclick with his. He had it. Yeah. That's an expensive little misclick right there. But yeah, I do want new maps, and I'm sure we'll get new maps. What will I do if we don't get new maps? Well, there isn't much we could really do. We'll just keep playing. But
I'm gonna keep enjoying the good maps we have right now. This map was actually really good.
It is really good, but I don't like that Pillars and Oxide, like especially in PvP, they play out pretty similar. And I actually I get a bit turned off by that.
Like theoretically, if there's a scenario if Blizzard doesn't support new ladder maps, I think we as a community would probably start using other maps in tournaments where people like, I think that would be the realistic outcome, which is like, it's not ideal because I think people like watching tournaments about maps that they are playing in their own ladder games, but it wouldn't be the end of the world. That's something we can fix as a community ourselves. We wouldn't be stuck with the same maps for the rest of like the lifetime of StarCraft 2 in tournaments, right? We would just play community maps that we pick ourselves, like some sort of committee between ESL players and casters or something, right?
All right. Well, I guess then we got that one covered. I do want to see new maps on the ladder, obviously, because a lot of us just like firing up some ladder games. All right. Lord Philly, I'm asking Harstem, with your amazing meme-tastic videos and content, I must ask, when is the great Hamilton-level StarCraft musical coming? All right, Harstem, go ahead.
Never. I'm not a big fan of musicals.
All right.
But I do like making the jokey songs. It makes me happy to do. And might have something coming out again in a couple of months. We'll see.
Oh, teaser.
Usually what happens... Okay, the easy part is to just write the lyrics, right? You take a song, then you just change some words around, and then you got something that kind of makes sense. But then the recording part is like, I can't really sing. My guitar playing isn't very good either. So that I'm looking like it probably won't take much more than 2-3 hours, but I don't really want to do it. So it'll take a couple of months until the next one, but it will be something. Don't worry, buddy.
Do you remember that song of like Tayo Cruz, I think it's called, like Dynamite?
Dynamite, yeah.
Yeah. I used to have my own version of that, where I was like, I throw my mouse up in the air sometimes, saying, hey, yo, Zerg is bullshit. And then I was always singing it together with the Muslim and Nama, because all of us hated Zerg in like 2011. And then we went to the German club, and we were like singing that song, and we're singing our own little version of it. I wanted to turn it into an entire song too, and I made like a little chorus. No, not the chorus. I think one verse. I kind of changed it in StarCraft, but I never recorded it because I can't sing. All right, we had a follow-up question, I think, for Dario. What was that question for Dario? TLO, 4 Protoss and 1 Zerg on the Pylon show today. You need to scout. You're being foregated. Have we been nice to you, Dario?
You've been very nice, and also you don't even. I'm Zerg. I don't need to scout it. I'm just making queens, and
There you go. There you go, sir.
All right, next up, much love to you all. Great to see Europe being represented on the Pylon show. Thank you, Lord, for your question and obviously the support to the Pylon show. Alexander is going to ask us. I was going to ask about Max Pack because I'm so impressed by the young up-and-comers. But my backup question is, what kinds of tournaments do you like? Standard 1v1, crazy map, 1v1, 2v2, 3v3, King of the Hill. There are so many. Do you like going at it alone, or would you have liked SC as a team game? Dario, what kind of tournaments do you like?
I mean, standard 1v1 is the best version of StarCraft. It would be cool if you could have more like kind of fun competitions once in a while. But I think that the ratio that I'm looking at here is like pretty heavily skewed towards standard 1v1, where maybe like 95% or even more should be 1v1, and then once in a while we have like a show match where like we have some custom map somebody makes and players can have fun with that. But the truth is that like I think that was one thing that Warcraft 3 was a little bit better at, like team games. Warcraft 3 is I think the best team game RTS and maybe also the best FFA RTS, and in StarCraft those game modes just aren't that enjoyable, and they are also very hard to play. Like if you have a 2v2 with 200 supply armies, the frame rate just becomes so incredibly low, and it becomes like 4v4 is almost unplayable unless you accept that you just only have 10 frames in the late game.
You know what's funny is that there's always people who's like, oh no, I don't have that at all. Like it runs perfectly fine. And I'm like, no, I don't think you know how StarCraft is supposed to run. It's like a lot of people, they don't know. And it's like so funny whenever you get tech advice from people. It's like, oh, you can play StarCraft totally fine on your computer out of like 2003. And yeah, you can stream it too, man. It's no issue. I'm like, no, like it's like, oh no, I'm doing it. And then I look at their stream and they've got 17 FPS. And I'm like, oh my God, mate. Like, this is not okay. This is not how you play StarCraft. Yeah, I actually, a while ago, I got contacted by Clash, and we're working on another tournament series, and I had like 4 1v1 tournaments in mind, or maybe 1 2v2, because I do like 2v2. I like it when you don't overdo it. Once in a blue moon, a 2v2 tourney with a fun lineup of players. I think it works. You just don't want to do it every single week, because then it becomes really boring. But I had a couple of very fun, unique formats for the 1v1. I don't really want to share it, because I'm still hoping that we can run it soon. But I think 1v1 tournaments are the best, but I think you can have a lot of fun with 1v1, where you don't always have to use the same format, like, all right, here we go, Singor, double a limb, best of 3s. Like, I think you can think outside of the box a little bit and definitely spice things up, so that would be
what Harstem was doing on his YouTube. He had this, where players play against each other, and there's like these side objectives people can do to gain points. So shout out to Harstem's YouTube channel, like he's doing some stuff like that. Right?
Again, another shout out to that channel, unbelievable.
Keep going.
I heard Lambo's got a YouTube channel too, though. Check that one out. And Mana. You need Mana. Great videos. Isn't that right, Mana?
That's true. I do. I will do a shout out at the end of the show then.
Oh, I love this question, by the way. I love this question because I get this question every single day when I stream. God damn it. So, Pulse, fantastic question, mate. Hey, you all lovely people. To Harstem, when will you invite Rotti to a ranked roulette match? ? Yeah, Harstem. When is that happening?
So the reason actually Rotti didn't get invited is because I once heard him say on his stream that whenever I ask people to cast, I'm gonna be you for a second. He said, whenever I ask people to cast with me, like I don't just want to ask them because I feel bad for not paying them. and I don't pay anyone. So then, for some reason in my head, I was like, oh, maybe I need to get money first to pay Rotti. I haven't been invited, so I really wanted you for the first season, but I was like, I'm not paying anyone, so maybe another season.
No,
but,
I would have gladly made. It's different when people ask me. I would have gladly made an appearance. That's absolutely no issue.
I also would gladly make an appearance on your stream casting.
Yeah, but why don't
so
you ask me then? Like, if you would ever ask me,
but if you would have asked me to be on Rank Roulette, you see.
No, that's weird. I'm not gonna invite me on your show. But like, if you're watching the stream and then people in the chat are like, "Oh, Harstem, come cast with Rotti," like, I don't want to put you on the spot. Be like, "Hey, Harstem, come on Discord right now and create contact for my Twitch channel." Like, that's not something I do.
Okay.
But if you'd be like, "Oh yeah, I'd love to hop on a couple games," like, you're always welcome.
Yeah. I just don't want to, just put myself on there either too much. So yeah, I don't know.
All
So
right,
that's the reason. But
second season, Rank Roulette, Rotti will make an appearance, and Harstem will eventually cast a couple games with me on the Monday evening.
All right, that's a deal.
Advice from the producer who watches a lot of other Twitch content. Other people in other games do this commonly. Oh, you're playing the same game as me. Just hit them up on Discord and be like, hey, do you want to come play? Do you want to come call? Don't be afraid to ask. If you do it privately in a text message, it's not like a rejection that people are going to see publicly. Don't be afraid to reach out.
Privately, I totally agree, Mr. Producer. It's just what I don't like is... What I don't like is that like Twitch channel always does this thing where they're piling up on like somebody who's somewhat known in the community. So I don't want that to be a weird environment where Harstem doesn't want to type anything on the Monday night when I'm casting games, because the moment he types something, the entire chat is like, get Harstem on the call, get Harstem on the call. Like that puts him in a weird spot. And then I have to be like, hey Harstem, you want to be on the call? Like that's just a weird environment. I think privately everything is fine. Publicly, I don't really like asking things on stream publicly.
Of course.
Well, yeah.
That was our last question, by the way.
That was our last question. Well, guys, that means that we're almost done. Let's give a couple of big shout-outs real quick to the big Patreon supporters. Benjamin N., thank you so much for being a super supporter. And then we have a couple of $100 supporters. Shane, Astrovin, Jerry Wang, thank you so much. A couple $50 of Binker, some drunk Canadian, and Grandpa Watcherino. And from that point on, the list becomes very long, so I'm not going to pronounce all the names, but... obviously, to each and every single one of you, we say thank you from the bottom of our hearts for allowing us to make the Pylon show happen. We truly appreciate all of you. Big one, small one, it doesn't matter. You guys will be able to see all the names on the screen. And I think that's kind of going to do it for us. We're going to do some shout-outs. I guess we're starting with this man to leave us. Harstem, thank you very much for coming on the Pylon show today. It was a pleasure having you. Do you have any final words for us? Some things you want to get us very excited over? Because I know you're a busy man.
No. Thanks for having me. It was a good time, and be sure to check out the Denver versus Seoul show match when that happens on the 2nd of February. We're gonna try to get as many people involved as possible, broadcast it on as many platforms. We've been making contacts with some cable networks in the Netherlands because this has to be seen by a lot of people. So that's the only shout out I'll make. So shout out to Seoul, basically.
Basically, we ended up with a shout out. That's all. Love it. Kev, was awesome having you on, and see you for season 2 of Ranked Roulette. I can't wait. All right, next up is Mana. Mana, obviously, pleasure having you on, mate. Really always enjoy listening to you. Do you have any final shout outs for us? Where can we find you? And what is keeping you busy at the moment?
Yeah, thanks for having me. Thanks for the discussion. It's always a pleasure to be here to talk with the StarCraft 2 community. I'm trying to grow my YouTube channel right now. It's youtube.com/youneedmana. Right now I'm doing a series of ladder hour with some insightful commentary. In the future I want to do a series of improvement for the beginners or somewhat okay-ish players at StarCraft Protoss mainly, but yeah, basically some guidance content for the StarCraft people. That's pretty much it. I just want to grow my YouTube channel. If you want to check it out, You Need Mana.
Love it. Thank you for being on the show, matey. Appreciate it. Next up, GG Emily. No, damn it. It's not next up, GG Emily. We're just going with Dr. Dario instead. All right, Dr. Dario, thank you so much for making time during your incredibly busy corporate life that you're living right now. It was a pleasure having you on. Do you have any final words for us?
Oh, I'll always have plenty of time for my StarCraft friends. And it was nice to hang out with two of my recently former teammates. So that's it's been really enjoyable. Yeah, just keep an eye over on my Twitter. There's some cool things that are in the works that I can't talk about yet, but it's been really rewarding working for Shopify. There's cool things happening. It's a fun experience. It's a step in my career. And if you want to follow somebody else on Twitter, I'm just sending it in the chat. That's Jeremy Steves. He works together with me on the esports program, and he's been awesome to work with. Like, he brought me into Shopify and like showing me the ropes a little bit of this crazy new world that I am in, and this is a super nice guy. And yeah, I just look forward to some of the stuff that is, to be announced.
Nah, a little teaser for us. Do you have anything?
Yeah, I mean that things are in motion.
Ooh, okay. What's the timeline on those things that are in motion? Because I'm kind of excited for it too.
Those are soon TM, of course.
Soon TM. All right. The announcement of an announcement. Here you have it, guys. We'll never really move on from that in the world of StarCraft 2. Then last but not least, we have Gemini. Matey, where can we find you and what's keeping you busy?
Basically on Twitter at ggmini19. I keep wanting to make YouTube videos, and then I make it. Then I like get halfway done with it, and then I lose my motivation to do it. So I should tell you to look at my YouTube at Gemini_19 to maybe see one of those eventually. If you would like, I do actually have one that I am finishing that'll be up pretty soon that I'm pretty happy about. But yeah, I guess on those two things. Otherwise, I'm pretty busy, just doing as much StarCraft stuff as I can while doing my full-time teaching stuff. So yeah, just mostly on there. Looking forward to see Trap hopefully win 3 premier tournaments within 7 weeks of each other. So that'll be hopefully cool, and super tournament next week. But otherwise, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. I always love talking about Trap, and I will do that even if it is 3:30 a.m., and that's no problem. But yeah, I don't know. That's it.
And I enjoyed listening to you talking about Trap, my friend.
And that's
guys,
all that counts.
Was a lot of fun. I think the highlight of this show will definitely be 4 Protoss players talking about how Terran is the easiest race. I'm sure that this will land really well in the community. Well done, guys. No, I think overall fun show.
4 Protoss and a Zerg.
Yeah, 4 Protoss and a Zerg. Yeah.
Walk into a bar.
Oh, yeah, that's gonna be the only thing that people will remember about this. Overall, it was a fun show. Obviously, we've got a couple of exciting weeks ahead of us. We didn't even really talk about that. I guess we'll save that for when Artosis is back, because obviously the next Pylon Show episode will just be hosted by Artosis as always. So yeah, I kind of want to talk a little bit about the Intox 3 Masters, but we'll save it for when Dan is back. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the European Special Edition, the second EU special of the Pylon Show that we've had. And we hope that you guys keep tuning in for the Pylon Show and keep supporting the Pylon Show. Thank you, and bye-bye.
After this, we're going to roll Creighton's This Week in StarCraft.
Oh, actually, we've got a proper little announcement. Apparently, I thought we did this before, but apparently we didn't do this before. So I'm going to send you guys to the This Week in StarCraft. That is obviously these days hosted by Creighton Olsen. So go ahead and enjoy that, and I hope you guys have a beautiful evening. Bye-bye.
What's up, everyone? Hello, and welcome to This Week in StarCraft. Today is January 20th. 2021, it's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life for me. Let's get into it. We got a lot to talk about this week in StarCraft 2 and StarCraft Brood War. Of course, our 4 headliner events, the ESL Weekly Cups, Cheeseadelphia, finally happening after all those qualifiers. We got some GSL action back up on the board, and the Africa StarCraft Team League over in Brood War. We'll talk about those 4 first, and then go through everything that's going on this week. Starting, of course, with the ESL Open Cups. As of, I think, last week, the ESL Open Cups are no longer awarding EPT, ESL Pro Tour points. They're just for cash, but it gives the players something to do every week, which is good. StarCraft players need something to do. Otherwise, they start playing League of Legends or chasing cars on the street, biting tires. Can't have them doing that. So we got the ESL Cups keeping them busy. Of course, Korea finishing up with a 3-0 win by Cure. Look at that run by Cure. Flawless victory. 2-0 Hyperion, 2-0 Creator, 3-0 Solar, and 3-0 Armani. Beautiful. Armani with not a bad run himself over time, and Zest too. Congrats to Cure, Armani, Zest, and Solar for winning some scratch. And thanks to the Cranky Ducklings, Mint Crystal, 3D, and Inu. 3D Clan TV, which is Glide, and Inu for covering that event. Of course, we had the EU event with a 3-2 Clem over Max Packs. Man, we said it at the beginning of last year. Max Packs, one of those players to watch, and possibly the greatest acquisition that Team Exxon has ever made. He and Geralt killing it for Team Exxon there. Hero Marine and Soul ending up in those 3 and 4 slots. So EU looking strong as always. Obviously, huge contenders there. Man, you know it's good when Raynor gets kicked out in the round of 8. Woo! What a rock. What a rock and roll. Chicken Man, RotterdaM, Wardy, O Gaming, Zombie Grub, Enki, Indy, Steadfast, and of course Glide. Covering the EU action. North America, wow. What? Oh, there's no Koreans in it, that's why. I wonder what all the Koreans were up to. GSL qualifiers, that's it. Okay, so it's good to see the North America ESL Open Cup actually being competed in and won by North Americans, Bly and Vanya. And, okay, Max Packs are nice. So the round of 8 with 4 non-native North American players, but look at that. The North Americans prevail as Estrella took out Max Packs, Cham took out Vanya, and Nina took out Nice for a very solid 3 out of 4 in the semifinals. Congrats to Estrella for the 3-1 win over Nina. And thanks to Steadfast, Enki, Rocklets, Pig, Chicken Man, Cranky Ducklings, and Ragnarokette for covering the ESL Open Cup North America. Outside of the ESL, we've been talking about it for weeks now, ladies and gentlemen, but it is finally time on Saturday, January the 24th. We got Cheesadelphia. That's right, Penguin and Tempo gonna bring you all the action. Oh, Pengy and Tempo, a great commentary duo. Look at this. You know this is a good tournament when fucking Beyond is in qualifier number 3. Look at how well spaced out these qualifiers were. You got all like Goblin, Vindicta, Max Pack, Solar in qualifier 1, Soul, Mio Micah, Creator Bunny, Estrella in qualifier 2, and even qualifier 3 with absolutely top A-list names: Neeb, Zune, Special, DRG, Beyond, Thermi. This is going to be a crazy good tournament. Be sure to tune in on Twitch. Of course, the GSL is finally back in 2021. Look at the names that advanced and then think in your head, hey, wait a minute. A couple names missing here. Couple names missing here. Notably, of course, Maru, who actually did not compete at all. We're guessing due to injuries. But I don't know if that's official or just the rumor mill. Anyway, the GSL Super Tournament coming up starts next week, actually 1 week from today, January the 27th. Very exciting stuff. Streamed on the Africa TV channels by 2 casters, Mork and Mindy, I believe, are their names. Very, very talented casters. And then our 4th event is a Brood War event, actually. The Africa TV StarCraft Team League Season 2. So that'll be really nice to check out. We got all sorts of talented Brood War folks there. No surprises at these teams. Just the best of the best here. Wow, we got robbed of Flash versus Light Game 4. That's a bummer. Anyway. Otherwise, already looking good. And now we move to This Week in StarCraft. A little cameo by my buddy Napolko Sean there, giving some bants to his opponent Max Pax on that lava map in Mapper's Delight. I'll tell you all about it later. Of course, the Dreamhack StarCraft 2 Masters Last Chance finished up. I'm actually going to shift over the group stage really quickly. The group stages for Last Chance here, we saw Stats, Showtime, Raynor, Hero Marine, Rag, Zest, Rogue, and Parting getting knocked out. And then our round of 8 here. Congrats, of course, to Jin Air Green Wings Trap, who won a final over Serral 4-3. Kept us guessing until the very last minute, but what a great final it was. Yeah, I was going to make some joke like, skip it, it's not that good. I can't even lie. Go back and watch it, guys. It's on, should be on what? Twitch.tv/ESL_SC2, I think. Maybe just ESL. Anyway, go find it on Twitch. The VODs are up on YouTube, I believe, and the replay pack is already out. So ESL on top of it this time, getting all their assets out very quickly so you can relive the glory. I mean, what else is there to say? It was stacked. It was crazy. And Trap somehow eked out the wins he needed to. Solar, Clem, and then Serral. Beautifully done by Trap. The Olimo League, back again. Number 216, amazing. And Solar, looking solid. 3-0 over Creator there. A nice name sneaking through into the quarterfinals, though. Tails! How long has it been since you've seen Tails, who took out Time 2-1? Whoa. Interesting. Solar, Creator, Bjorn, and Tails rounding out the top 4 there. Oh, that's cast. Sorry, that's cast every week by Maynard. ALGS and Crank TV on Tuesdays. Thanks to Oli Moly for putting that together. Ladder Heroes continues, and guys, Nina has been struggling week after week to try and catch Mio Micah, but can't do it. Mio Micah increases his lead against Nina here, and really that's the only story in NA Ladder Heroes, is that nobody can unset the undisputed king of North America, Mio Micah, apparently. Oh, Alpha X and Into the Clan continuing their series with a bunch of weekly events going on. There's a 4-player invitational that happened a week ago. Dream ended up winning that one 4-0 over Patience. Cast by Kozan, the Into the Clan, and Enki. You can check him out on Trovo. The links there, of course, are in the show notes also. The other Trovo series here happened on Friday. Zest beating Parting 4-1. Looks like Bjorn didn't even make it to the grand finals. That's weird. That's weird. Huh. Wild. Anyway, again, Kozan, Into the Clan, and Enki on Trovo. And, of course, one more on Saturday. Cure 4-1 over Ragnarok. And the Trovo Weekly, which is a slightly different tournament, cast by Alpha X and Into the Clan. This one's on the same channels, but Dream won this one 4-2 over Armani with Zest and Creator in 3rd and 4th place. And then back over on Africa TV is the Alpha Pro Series Show Match Series with a best of 9. And man, if it goes all the way to game 9, you know it's a good one. The true Maru Masa losing to Cham 4-5. We move now from Korean players, Canadian players, and Mexican players to Filipino players. The PSL is working its way through right now. Group H is just finished up. That's the last group stage, and the round of 8 starts next up. This is over on trovo.live/Psystorm and /CarlJG. This is for all these players in the Philippines. The prize pool is between $500 and $1,000, depending on how much Matcherino scratch they raise. Should be pretty cool. Copa Hyperion for Latin America citizens and residents only. The next one coming up in a little over a week, January 29th, with Nano beating Zion's 3-0 here. So very cool little event here, alternating weeks with Sentimiento Latino. Congrats to Nano, who beat Jim Rising in the semifinals. Wow, very nicely done by Nano. Again, a clean run by Nano. Look at that, 2-0, 2-0, 2-0, and 3-0. Beautiful, beautiful. Cast, of course, by the Cranky Ducklings and Enki over on Twitch. From Latin America to South Africa, CSO Cup. You know what? I love seeing this happen. We first announced the CSO Cup was first announced about 10 weeks ago, when we sort of like when I started doing This Week in StarCraft. Been doing it for a couple months now. And the first time it was announced, there were no major players in it. It was all these CSO players, a lot of players that I hadn't heard of. And look at this, in just 10 weeks, already the winners and all the top 8 practically are huge names in StarCraft. Cham, B, Cass, Cristiano Ryuichi, Vanya, and Ashbringer. All notable names. So it just goes to show that these grassroots tournaments, once they get established, run 5 weeks, run 10 weeks, and you're going to start attracting the best of the best talent. So if any of you tournament organizers out there are like, oh man, I ran my first tournament and it was just like my buddies showed up and I gave away $50 and it just didn't feel very good. Keep at it, guys. Look at the CSO Cup for inspiration. These guys have been going for 10 weeks now and already top-tier competitions. Congrats to Vanya for beating Koss 3-1 in the finals, and Cham taking out Cristiano in that 3rd place match. The NA Apprentice, of course, last week we announced not just the dope-ass logo with the clown nose and everything, but more importantly, the new awesome format here for NA Apprentice with the Code S, Code A style format. This is going to be so cool, man. It starts January 18th, so it's already had its first round, but this is going to be so cool. Check this out. If you're interested in the format, look at Liquipedia and see what they're doing, but basically it's I was going to say similar to what the GSL used to do, but what the GSL is doing now. Code S, Code A. Look at these players. Everybody you could expect. Disc, Maples, Ryan, Semper, Galaxy, Trigger, Starkiller, Oko, Jig, and Prototype, and even the Code A looking fantastic. Oh, hey, my caster buddies, Steadfast and Kozan, even making it into Code A. How exciting. Of course, it wouldn't be a week without a Wardi tournament, and the Wardi 2021 is starting up now. It's a 20-player online tournament. We had a couple the qualifiers are happening now. We've already had one qualifier and 3 more going down. Max packs, Harstem Showtime in the first qualifier. Qualifier 2 is today. Qualifier 3 is tomorrow. Qualifier 4 is Friday? I don't know. Days of the week are all run together. It's quarantine. Anyway, $8,300 prize pool. I mean, it's a Wardi event. It's going to be great. The Exxon Cup Open, number 21. It's like what I was saying with the CSO Cup, right? We saw these guys start this tournament a couple months ago, and now the best of the best coming to compete. Cham 3-0 over Vanya in the grand finals there, with Nina taking the 2-0 in the third place match. Nina, who, if her Twitter is to be believed, is now going to go by the online handle Neens in all of her matches. The Exxon Cup brought to you, of course, by Winter Steadfast and Beowulf, sponsored by my favorite StarCraft 2 sponsor, Tantalizing Terrariums. And we may want to check that spelling. Terrariums is spelled with an E, not with an A, so I hope that's correct. Or maybe the person who runs it is named Terra. We'll get top men on that right away. Top men. And of course, Mappers Delight, one of my flagship tournaments. Oh my god, it was so much fun, you guys. I mean, look at that grand final. Soul 4-3 over Max Pax. Max Pax taking it to the last game of the series in all 3 of his final matches. He slowed down the tournament a lot, but my god, we had fun. Lava map, map with destructible rocks that award resources when broken. Map with lightning storms, map with openable and closable gates. I mean, this is just so much fun. These VODs are all up on YouTube now. If you just search for YouTube/Creighton Olsen, you can find them. They're well worth a watch. A fun tournament, and honestly, a very seriously good tournament. Like some really great tactics and stuff. It was a lot of fun. The Berserker Esports Diamond 1v1 League now underway. We've been hyping it up now for a couple weeks, and it's finally here. I love this format, by the way. We got the dual tournament format going down. Basically, it's just shown a little bit differently here. And this will be awesome. 6 groups, A through G. So far, we got a couple people that have advanced. It's looking good. Check this one out. All the links, of course, in the show notes to find out where these tournaments are. And as the Diamond has started up, so has the Masters Weekly. This one is not a group stage tournament. This is just a straight, best of 3, best of 5. And it looks like Dark Flame 102 took out Gypsy Danger in the grand finals. Gypsy Danger making a good run through the losers bracket, though. Look at that. 1, 2, 3 wins to get himself out of the losers bracket. That happened a couple weeks ago. And the first ever Invitational X brought to you by Practice X. T1 over Nijanix 4-0 in the grand finals. And the most industrial named tournament I've ever seen in my life. This sounded like an AI named this tournament. New Mining Company Invitational. Braddock putting on a tournament. Oh baby, one of the veterans of the scene. It's so good to see a player organize a tournament and then not compete in it. It's just a nice mark of like, okay, I really just want to do something for the community here. Thanks to Braddock for throwing this up. And again, Clem, 4-1 over Showtime with you. Thermal taking the third place match over Big Gabe. The winner, I'll buy your dinner. Max Pax taking out Ladderman Ron. It's Scatman John, isn't it? The joke doesn't work. Never mind. Whatever. Max Pax winning 4-1 in the grand finals. Who is Ladderman Ron? Oh, he may have just had a pretty easy run through the bracket. Couple smaller players. Notably, though, look at the round of 16 here. Braddock losing. B losing. A rough opening round here. Jeez. But grand finals looking good for Max Pax there. And funnily enough, the other food tournament of the week, Max Pax also winning that one. So Max Pax now joins. He leaves Caleb Eriku, McMonroe, Orion, and Masa in the 2-pizza category and joins Panda Bear Me, Namshar, and Special in the coveted 3-pizza category. So Max Pax eating well this week, putting on the pounds to finish out that cold Danish winter. Is winter cold in Denmark? It must be. Of course, Cham taking out Max Pax 3-0 in the grand finals with Geralt and Starkiller in 3rd and 4th place. And a reminder about the La Espira podcast. This is like the basically the Pylon show in Spanish. So all those tournaments that Artosis doesn't have to mispronounce in Spanish anymore, if you want to hear them flawlessly pronounced, you can go to La Espira. Tu Da Temporada, which I'm sure I nailed, with Demon Swap, Jim Rising, and Horus. In this episode, they talk about the server issues, obviously, Last Chance, and what's going on in 2020. Check them out on, wow, they got the custom URL, laspira.com/podcast. Legacy Weekly Japan will return in a couple of days here. This tournament brought to you by the Land of the Rising Sun. All the players have to speak, read, write Japanese. Cool tournament. CSO Challenger number 11. Open from players bronze to 3,500 MMR. Open sign up, so go ahead and sign up there. Check-ins at 5 o'clock CET on Saturday, the 23rd. La Llama Dorada, which is the Golden Llama. Oh, yeah, there's the translation. English, the Golden Llama. A Peruvian-only event. So all you llama enthusiasts can't participate. This would be the opportune time for... do you guys know this? The Diablo 2 speedrunner, Mr. Llama SC2? This is his chance to get back into StarCraft. He just has to move to Peru. He'll be fine. Anyway, organized by La Espira and sponsored by the Cranky Ducklings. Sign-ups available. Again, check the show notes to sign up for La Llama Dorada, La Espira. And yes, it's almost here, everybody. The 3-winged Angel Open qualifiers start this weekend. We've got 2 rounds of open qualifiers into 3 group stages into a special qualifier event. Again, I don't want to take too much time because it's my event, but it's worth explaining the format. The 3 groups are going to have 5 players in each group. So a total of, we got 7 invited players and then 8 qualified players. So each group is going to have 5 players. Top 2 players in the group move on. Bottom 2 players in the group are gone, are knocked out. And then the middle players, the players in 3rd place in the group, go to a special qualifier event where they have to play 5 1v1v1 3-way free-for-alls to see which 2 are actually going to make it in to the quarterfinals. That's happening for the rest of the week, every single day, 23rd through the 31st. Generous support from Archangel Gaming and Team Exxon and the casting crew. I'm going to be hosting it. I won't be casting. So you're spared all of my excited shouting. But look at this lineup. Katz, Nathanius, Grant, Renegade, Rushy, Steadfast, Chicken Man, Beowulf, and then our foreign language casters, Indy, Legend K, and Glide. Sadly, Bel Air won't be able to make it. If you don't see your language casted there and you want to cast in your language, get in touch with me. We got space. And we've got the No Gamer Left Behind tournament. Of course, it's coming up very soon. January 22nd is the community day. They're still looking for players and casters, so get in touch with DAW Station on Twitter, on Twitch, and you can register at that link there. Should be tons of fun. Mara League Season 4 with a German flag that has been lifted from a 1995 World War II game, I think. Wow, look at that shading. It's just, that's old school. I can hear the Command and Conquer theme in my head. Except that's not Germany, that's Russia, isn't it? Anyway, whatever. Number 4 starts in February. So for German-speaking players, sponsored by Martalekos on YouTube and Twitch. Check it out. It'll be great. The Bald Guy Classic has been indefinitely postponed. I'll be rescheduling this all-random tournament. Hopefully, I will get a date on the calendar. Pardon me. Hopefully, I'll get a date on the calendar sometime next week. The tournament won't be next week, but I'll announce the date, I'm hoping, next week. This will be, I think, $500? Should be fun. And we move from StarCraft 2 to Brood War. Yes. So the KCM Challenge Race Survival 2020 Season 4. This is the cool thing where the races are all on one team. Terran still way ahead, 11 over Protoss and Zerg. But Zerg winning their series 4-2 against the Protoss with Soma cleaning things up with the help of Larva. The Castrum used Nadak Star League. It does look like Free putting up some points. That's such a cute photo of Free. Look at him. Aw. 3 million won. That's about 2,500 USD, give or take. And Free beating Best 4-3. Check it out on Castrum Muse's stream. play.africatv.com/JSC9905. The ultimate. Holy shit. I don't even care about anything else anymore. Look at Larva. What a Giga Chad Pro beast mode hype man monster. We don't even have to do the meme. You just look at it and you know that he wears the freshest clothes, eats at the hottest, or eats at the, whatever the fuck the meme is. Holy shit, what a photo of Larva. What a badass MF. That's incredible. After a 10-week run, Light was finally defeated in the Ultimate Battle event, by the way, by Best, who lost to Larva. And this week, Larva beat Free 5-4. Free needs that cute photo of him with the hoodie on again. That's a much better photo of him. Somebody else's shoulder has taken over his shoulder. Anyway, the Ultimate Battle event is a King of the Hill style show match. Caster Park Sang-yun takes over. Man, $80 per win, an additional 300,000 won, $250 for a 9-0 victory. Not the case this week, but Larva still won 5-4. Man, I'm gonna make that my phone background. Unbelievably good. The Torneo del Tioaz, streamed on LTOAS on Facebook, January the 20th. It happened on January the 17th, so it just finished up. This is the tournament number 5 with Fabella taking out Pegas OCMK in that Juego Final. Looking very good there. Fabella winning a big one. The Rogue City Rumble. Yes, the Rogue City Rumble. Finally happening here. We got the qualifiers are on the way right now. Krazi qualified in qualifier number 1. Dragonaz. Got to be very careful how you say that one. In qualifier number 2. Qualifier number 3 is on Friday. And qualifier number 4 is on Saturday. So if you wanted to qualify for the Rogue City Rumble, you can register at the challenge links listed there. And a quick note to the to Krazi. You can customize your challenge links, man, so you don't have to have like the letter and number salad at the end of your challenge.com thing. It's in the settings somewhere. You can make it whatever you want. Brontes IV Arena, sponsored by a medical supply company that makes IVs that you stick in your arm. It's definitely not Brontes 4. That's certainly not the case. This one is the tournament that's all about fun. So we're going to have fun. You'll win glory and bragging rights. No cannon rushes. Try to have fun with it. Looks like we got 5 players signed up already. It doesn't happen for another 10 days, though, so get your signups going right now. You can sign up on Challenge. Again, the link in the show notes. And a quick update for this week in StarCraft. Oh, before I do, hang on. A couple things that didn't quite make it into the show notes. One, the Shinhan Tank Pro League had the group stages in 2021. Soul Gaming still undefeated. The week 5 scores are here, and this is a little unprofessional, but I'm going to do it anyway. Boop. There you go. You can see here the round robin results so far for the Shinhan Tank Pro League with Soul Gaming still undefeated. We also have the SSC AIT. That's the AI Invitational Tournament. Number 199 was on YouTube. Go check it out. And there was an Alpha X show match we missed as well. We'll throw it in next week. Sorry, we had some problems with the... we lost some data today, so we tried to kind of rebuild the whole thing on the fly. So we missed a couple tournaments. I think just those 3, though. So everything else should be taken care of. Anyway, after last week, we swapped over to a new podcast aggregator. So find the Pylon show anywhere you get your podcasts. Whether it's, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Spotify, the iTunes podcast app, or, fun fact, the best way to get the Pylon show is to buy some binoculars and rent an apartment across the street on the same floor as Tasteless's apartment, and then you can watch the Pylon show through Tasteless's window, and as long as his cats aren't in the way. That's the best way to get it. It's in Ultra HD quality. He's got one of those sick monitors. Trust me, that's the way to get the podcast for sure. It's just watch it through Tasteless's window. I'll give you his address if you just DM me. And of course, remember, if you want to submit a tournament for inclusion in This Week in StarCraft, we got a submission deadline of Monday. I'm not saying we won't put it in if it's a little bit late, but for all of us here that work on the Pylon show, the earlier you can get your submissions in, the better. That way we have less scrambling to do on Tuesday night and Wednesday mornings, Central US time when I record this podcast. So please submit anything you want on the Pylon Show Discord by Monday, so we can get it guaranteed inclusion in the show. And that's it. Thanks all for joining me for This Week in StarCraft, January 20th. I'll see you next week in StarCraft.